and welcome back in to the 82nd annual Boys High School State Swim Meet here from the Nutrient Natatorium. I'm Skylar King alongside my brother Brandon, head coach of the third place Dingle Valley girls from this fall. And it's time to start handing out medals, trophies, state championships. After we sort of broke it down and saw where all the teams lie, what stands out from yesterday?
You know, we found out that, even with a sick Jake Miller, they're right in the mix for a trophy, even without swimming a second individual. I mean, that's a big thing, proving that U-High is going to be real tough and even tougher next year with pretty much having the whole team back. Libertyville right off of them, and Lake Forest, Hinsdale, and New Trier fighting for that 1, 2, and 3 spot.
And New Trier, probably not the best day, what they expected, but still far and away, as we knew, the best team at this state meet.
Yeah, their team is so much better than everyone else here. They could have a little bit of an off day and still be 60 points up.
Let's talk about Reed Malone. Saw him break a state record in the 200 free. You know, and you mentioned to me, you forgot what an emotional swimmer he is. We saw his disappointment in his time in the 500. What do we expect out of him today, and how is he going to balance maybe thinking about improving that 200 relay right immediately afterward?
I mean, in the back of his mind, he definitely wants to walk away with 2 state records. He got his in the 200 yesterday. He wants to get it in the 5 today. We both kind of thought maybe he was shutting it down that last 100, but he was very disappointed. He probably wanted to get it yesterday so he could really focus on those relays today. So now, it's really up to him. I'm sure Coach Onside and him have talked about it a little bit, but he needs to make that choice whether he wants to go for that record and give it all in that 500, or if he thinks he's got something left to try to beat Hinsdale Central in that 200 free relay.
Unless something happens that, like a jump, a disqualification, your trophy teams are going to be New Trier, Hinsdale Central, and Lake Forest. The question is, who's going to get second? What are we going to look for throughout this day, maybe even starting with this first relay? Hinsdale Central coming in with 5 more seed points. What do each of these teams need to do throughout this day to make sure they get second place?
Well, I think both teams really should be nervous. They both really can only move down at this point. Both have very high seeds, whether it's relays, individuals, if they're in the bottom or the top. They got to make sure they hold their seeds or move up. If they start moving down, either team is going to lose that chance to get second place.
So there's a good chance this medley relay is the biggest race of the day for both these teams. Hinsdale second, Lake Forest fourth, but Lake Forest not that far from sixth, Hinsdale Central not that far from fourth. So do you think we're going to know who the second place team is after the medley relay?
I think there's a good chance we could. I think if Lake Forest is sitting sixth and Hinsdale holds, I think Hinsdale's probably got it no problem. Hinsdale moves down and Lake Forest actually passes Hinsdale, I think that might be the momentum Lake Forest needs to get the second place trophy.
So certainly those two teams going to be battling it out. We've got some fun battles for the spots in the bottom part of the top 10, and but still some really good state meets out of, as we talked about yesterday, Marmion, St. Charles North, securely into that top 10, Oak Park, and then Waubonsie and Fenwick all battling for those last 2 spots in the top 10. Do you have a favorite 2 out of those 3 between Oak Park, Waubonsie, and Fenwick today?
I do have to give props to all 3 of those teams. I think all 3 of those teams swam amazing yesterday. They had some really solid swims. A lot of their guys in their relays stepped up. Their big names came and did what they needed to do to put themselves in top 10 scoring range. I really like Waubonsie, and I think Fenwick's got a little bit more to give.
So we've had records, and we've got 3 big seniors. Is there going to be any upsets today? Do you think Jovanovic can overtake Black in the fly? Because at this point, we both sort of think that Connor Black's going to be senior swimmer of the year.
Yeah, I mean, my vote for Connor Black is a given after that 50, and I think we talked about it before the state meet. If he could break Graver's 50 record and win the fly, and if he wins the fly, most likely he's getting the state record there. My vote's going to him. I think what he has done in the last 2 years, especially last year coming into this season and then so far this high school season, has been nothing short of amazing.
Is the 50 in your mind the most impressive record on the board? Like if every single record got broken in one meet, would you be most impressed with the 50?
I think the 50 is the most impressive. At 19.8, it's just something that, again, high school, they're boys. High school boys don't go 19 to the 50 free. You got to do something special to be able to go that fast and get up and go. You can grind out and train your butt off to go, a 4, 29 and a 500 if you got a little bit of talent and, a great work ethic. you can't just train to go at 19. You got to have it.
So certainly a stellar senior class, and that'll probably be one of the storylines throughout this day. We're going to see a lot of swims from a lot of members of that senior class, and the junior class does have their studs, but at this point, definitely not as deep as that senior class. We could be looking at the end of the statement and seeing a lot of opportunity to move up for next year. All right, it's time to get ready to go for the consolation final of the medley relay. We both sort of like Marmion, but we talked about the seniors, and Oak Park's got two of the better seniors in the state, Patnode and Bondarenko. They'll be swimming backstroke and fly for the Huskies.
I think it's going to be a battle between those two teams. The other team I like is actually Peoria Notre Dame. I think that they could do something. They're going to be out real fast.
Yeah, Christenville,
based off Christenville
yesterday.
I think they're going to be out real fast. And sometimes when you get open water, you hit lightning and you just go.
Fenwick will be making a move in that breaststroke. Tommy McGuire, who snuck in bottom 6 as well. Just an unbelievable sprinter in general, but especially in that 50 breast.
Oh yeah, what we say, second best 50 breaststroke time of the meet. I mean, very impressive. 25.5 is moving. You see a lot of backstrokers going 25.5 in those earlier heats, and he's crushing those guys.
So we'll set the lanes. In 2, it's Mattia Valley. In 3, Fenwick. In 4, Marmion. In 5, Oak Park River Forest. In 6, Peoria Notre Dame. And in 7, Barrington. Something I didn't notice yesterday, speaking of Christenville, starts with his hands on the gutter. Not something you normally see in high school competition.
No, and his underwater, as you can see, gets him out to a good lead. Patnode is right there with him, flipping a little bit behind.
And DeVille will certainly hit the wall first. He's got about a half body length lead on Patnode. 23.26 today.
And he crushed that field.
And we discussed maybe he should have swum fly back instead of that 50 free.
It really looks like his backstroke might have been actually more impressive than his fly.
And here comes the aforementioned Tommy McGuire making a very big move and surging Fenwick in the lead over in lane 3.
Fenwick's freshman, Cavan, trying to hold off Oak Park and Notre Dame.
I apologize. Fenwick's a lane over. That was Marmion. Marmion surging into the lead in lane 4 there. A heck of a split out of Marmion's breaststroker.
Moscow 26.6.
And 3 schools all going into the water. Hallman for Oak Park looks to have taken the lead here. He's going to flip first. Right behind him, Mike Burke. And Burke running him down.
Looks like it will be Marmion.
Marmion and Oak Park.
Oh. And Marmion takes it 20.92.
Heck of a swim for Burke there.
Notre Dame third with the 136.09. Oak Park second, 135.41. Marmion wins it with the 135.39.
Fenwick takes a hit there, 2 points worth in their quest for a top 10 finish. Time for the top 6. In lane 2, St. Charles North. In 3, Libertyville. In 4, New Trier. In 5, Hinsdale Central. In 6, Lake Forest. And in 7, Waubonsee Valley.
We talked a little bit about this, so having Lake Forest and Hinsdale right next to each other here. Both teams are going to be amped and ready to battle this one out.
Absolutely.
Should be a mix of Libertyville and New Trier out first with Snarsky and Mangan. Mangan was the fastest man
very
yesterday.
similar to Oak Park with that back fly combo. And it is Mangan, Snarsky out in front. Hinsdale and Lake Forest neck and neck. Not a good sign for Lake Forest in that battle. Leach only a 10th behind Smith today. Picked up 3/10.
This is where Hinsdale made a big move yesterday, having the fastest breaststroker.
Absolutely.
Being next to Park, it doesn't look as good, but they still surge into second.
25-3.
That is the fastest split of the meet. 50 breaststroke for Eddie Maple.
Portland, we thought needed to make a move from yesterday as well. He's trying to chase Brian Walsh here. Walsh just killing everybody underwater.
It is Harrington making a big move on Lake Forest.
Treesheim and Schroyer duking it out here. Colin Rowe trying to run them down.
And New Trier will be your first finisher. Hinsdale right behind, and Lake Forest third.
Lake Forest picks up 2 points.
Your first place finisher, New Trier with a 132.35. Second place, Hinsdale Central, 132.86. Lake Forest third, 133.33. Fourth place, St. Charles North on the outside, 134.48.
They move up in 2 points.
Fifth place, Libertyville, 134.71. And Waubonsie Valley, 135.08 for sixth place.
Libertyville, they move down 2 spots. If they're not careful, they're going to put themselves in range of a team like Loyola or even Marmion.
Libertyville definitely needs to start turning that tide around after that one. Lake Forest, though, off to a good start.
Absolutely.
Trying to close that gap for the second place trophy.
Now Peter Grumhouse is going to be trying to pick up a point for them by getting second place to Reed Malone in this 200, coming in third. So we talked a little bit about it yesterday, these 200 freestylers coming out of the medley. In this very next heat here, we've got Gannon and Schimmelfinning, both coming out of the medley. What, do you send them up?
We should have awards.
Yeah.
And then I believe after the awards, we go into the athletes with disability events.
Absolutely. My question to you is, do you send those kids out to get their awards, or do you send them to the rub-down table?
I think anyone coming out of the medley, you got to use your alternate, send them up there. If they're going right into the 200, you get them ready to go. Whether it's rub-down table, whether it's a psych-up talk from the coach, you got to get those kids ready to move up. Someone like Grumhouse especially. After that, they're hunting.
Absolutely. If everything stays the same, it's now a 3-point meet between Lake Forest and Hinsdale. Still waiting for everyone to get situated here, hand out our 7th through 12th awards.
This is when a cool down pool, especially like at Evanston, is perfect for those guys going from the medley to the 200 free.
Absolutely.
Get extra rest in finals, and that's why usually you'll see a better time in that 200 free finals, especially at Evanston.
So your 12th place finishers, Mattia Valley. We'll hear a lot from them, especially in the breaststroke later on, but also Salerno swimming that IM.
This is Mattia's first time scoring a relay at the state meet, as they're still a pretty young school. Obviously, Michael Stack was their first state qualifier and state placer.
And Fenwick, 11th. All they brought back last year was that 200 free relay. We've talked about it, way better meet for them this year.
They definitely went on a little redemption tour to kind of clear up what a lot of people were thinking about them last year, maybe just being a polo team. And they've definitely shown they got a couple good swimmers on that team as well.
10th place Barrington, to me, this is their most impressive relay by far to score a medley without Jack Strauss.
It shows you they definitely have some talent on that team. Jack Strauss was their big dog all year long. Kyle Ugier definitely making the run for their top swimmer, though,
Yeah,
from state
top
meet.
6 in that fly.
He's definitely their most valuable guy on their team now.
You're in Notre Dame, 9th place. They lose Chris Neville from this team. That's obviously a very big loss, but the rest of this crew can be coming back next year. Should certainly be in the mix to score some relay points.
People like Matt Kamen, who kind of came out of nowhere this year, has had an amazing year. And Chris's brother Sam, who anchored that relay, is definitely going to be a big threat in a couple of years and be scoring in some individuals, maybe even next season, based off of how his brothers.
He's definitely the one they need to make a big move to make up for the fact that his brother's leaving, because Schimmelfinning, you know, who's going to be their best swimmer next year, really not a sprinter. There's Oak Park. It's going to be hard to replace Pat Node, Pimentel, and Bondarenko. Hallman will be back a year from now.
Hallman will have to do it a little bit himself and make himself a little bit more of an individual threat, especially in that 100 freestyle, maybe 200 freestyle. He's definitely made a move towards the end of this season with some great taper times.
And then Marmion, who's really put together a good meet, emphasized by their relays. They're going to be competing in the top 6 of that 400 relay later on, and of that 200 relay. That 400 is definitely the best relay they got going.
I mean, I know we knew that they had great freestyle relays, but for them to have this medley, almost get top 6, and then win the consolation heat, it's very impressive for the Marmion team.
Absolutely.
And in 6th place, we talked about it, that late switch of Adam Stackland into the backstroke. Wabanzi getting a top 6 relay with that was a huge switch and great for their team points.
Absolutely. There's another school that's going to be missing some seniors next year is Wabanzi Valley for sure. Libertyville, not a team that's going to be missing anybody. This relay is all back, and we'd have to install them as the early favorite to win the medley relay next year's state meet.
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit with them too. They're all back, and they're going to be a threat to possibly win state next year. They're a very tough team, led by Alex Snarsky and Matt Harrington.
Speaking of redemption tours, St. Charles North, quite the bounce back state meet for this group. Without Chris Dieter, who was, you know, looked like their best swimmer going into last year's state meet.
And besides Kyle Gannon, who was their only guy to come back as an individual scorer, a lot of these guys made a huge turnaround to make these relays all big threats.
Especially Nick Kowaleski on that 400.
Yes. Anytime you're breaking 46, That's a big split.
Lake Forest, who's losing their back three. Definitely Daniel Smith has proven that he's someone they can start building around for next year, being a 51-0 in that backstroke. But it's going to be hard to replace those three seniors, especially Grumhouse and Rowe, who have really done some great things in the freestyles at this meet. Red Devils
Hinsdale Central, yeah, led by Eddie Maple for sure on this relay, but also big-time splits from Will Leach, Brian Portland, Connor Schroyer. All of them dropped a little bit from yesterday, just a couple tenths each, one or two, to break that 33.
And another team with three seniors on there, but Hinsdale, as we saw throughout the taper meets, is one of the few teams that's got plenty of depth to maintain a higher level of success going into next year. And then the home team, who always seems to have the depth to carry success year to year. You're gonna hear these names a lot: Mangan, Walsh, and Schriesheim, along with Reed Malone. Just really an awesome senior class that they're graduating. Jay Park, along with Murphy McKay, are really gonna be the cornerstones of this team going forward.
Jay Park has had such an impressive season.
Absolutely.
Really turning himself into almost the number 2 man with the way that he's been swimming at this state meet, and especially how he was swimming towards the end of the high school season.
There you see our standings. I only have the top 6 up there, but assuming, like you mentioned, that we are moving, there we go, it's finally up there, moving to the Athletes with Disabilities 200 free. Couple of freshmen. It'll be the same heat, but different divisions. So both these guys are going to be gold medalists no matter what happens here, as long as they finish the race. Charlie Gensko, I know I've heard a little bit about, the new cheer freshman. Legally blind, but they've actually figured out a way to tap him on the shoulder so he can still do flip turns in practice, which that's pretty impressive. Here in the Athletes with Disabilities 200 free. And there you see the flip turn executed pretty smoothly, actually.
And I've heard of different devices used for someone who's blind. I've heard of actually using a sound so they know they're getting closer and closer to the wall, which will indicate a time to turn or indicate a time to touch and turn. They're obviously using a stick with a tennis ball at the end so they can tap him either on the head or shoulder, letting him know he's time to turn.
So Chaz Centaur from West Frankfort is through a 50. And Gensko is coming in for the 100. .15.11. Only 2 seconds off his flat-out open 100 time. Gensko now coming in for the 150. Centauri coming in for the 100. So a 50 to go for the new cheer freshman. final turn. I guess, oh, watch out for that lane line, Charlie. And the new true freshman bringing it home here. 239-16. Still a 50 to go for the West Frankfort freshman, Chance Santori.
.150 left.
Making the last turn here. Coming up. Gensko is just off his sectional time of 2:38.88. A little under 3/10. 4:25.77 was Santori's time in sectionals. And he makes the final turn for home here. Second, 4:24.52. Gensko and Santori both going to be gold medalists here in the 200 free for athletes with disabilities. So now we're going to get ready for the consolation final. Of the 200 free. Your lanes 2 through 7. In lane 1 from Hoffman Estates, senior Nick Jesse. In 2, Nicholas Haseman, senior from South Elgin. In 4, Alex Kaiser, senior from Bloomington. In 5, Jake Pearson, senior from Lincoln Way North. In 6, Kyle Gannon, senior from St. Charles North. And in 7, Jared Schimmelfitting, senior from Peoria Notre Dame. And Gannon, definitely one of those guys we think will probably benefit from that extra rest. And we both think he's going to win this heat.
Yeah, I think especially just coming off that medley where they just dropped a decent amount of time and moved their team up, he's going to want to keep that momentum rolling. You can do that. Again, final team standings could mean a lot for them.
Consolation final. And it looks like
Kaiser is out fast.
Absolutely.
Haseman right with him.
He is a 100 freestyler, as is Jesse. Pearson, Gannon, Schimmelfitting, all distance men. So if I'm Kaiser, I definitely want to put some distance between myself and especially Gannon in this first 100. Kaiser, though, will continue to lead. Gannon second.
This is the point where we should see Gannon starting to make a move.
47.9 out for Kaiser. 48.3 for Gannon.
And Gannon looks like he's picking it up a little bit here. I think he's going to need to turn about first at this next turn. With a 50 left if he wants to try to win this thing.
Everyone trying to make a move on Alex Kaiser. The one making the big move is Gannon who flips right
just
with
about
him.
equal.
And now 50 to go. Kaiser's looking tired. Gannon looking like a distance man.
And we said it before. He's got something to shoot for, coming off that great momentum from that medley. And Gannon, most likely, will win this.
And he looks so strong still on this last 25. Going to be a great swim for him.
And he is cruising home.
39.99 for Kyle Gannon.
And he is your consolation champion, breaking that 140 for the first time.
And I think we both expected him to be in the top 6 yesterday. That time would have put him in the top 6.
Yep. So Gannon first with 139.99. Haseman second, 140.77. Third is Kaiser, 141.09. Fourth, Pearson, 141.48. Fifth was Schimmelfinning.
Jesse.
And Jesse was sixth.
So in your championship finals, Nikita Banderico, senior from Oak Park in 2. Peter Grant, senior from Lake Forest in 3. Your state record holder, Reed Malone, senior from Couture in 4. Matthew Conway, senior from Warren in 5. Adam Stackman, senior from Limbazi in 6. Adam Drury, junior from U-High in 7. And we talked about it. The question now is, can Gannon move ahead of Conway in this 200 free? Did I say Gannon?
Grumhouse.
I'm sorry.
That's obviously what Lake Forest is counting on. There's another point. Another story of just a phenomenal individual of Matt Conway with how he swam yesterday versus a guy that's doing something hoping for a team here. Matt Conway killing it.
Comes in with the reputation I saw it in sectionals. He is going to go after that first 100. My question is, the smoothness, the control of Drumhouse, is that going to catch up with Conway on that second 100?
Again, I think Conway's a big threat in any of those 200s. He trains all summer long for that 200 fly and 200 backstroke. So he's not afraid to get out there and go in a 200 freestyle.
Absolutely. Malone's starting to pull away a bit. Stacklin throwing his hat into the ring along with Conway and Drumhouse battling for second right now.
This is definitely going to be a good race for second place. Malone, the obvious favorite, seeing if he can possibly lower his own mark from yesterday out in a 46.98 with his turn with the 50 left.
Stacklin, Drumhouse, and Conway. A battle for second.
Drumhouse looks like he's actually starting to pull up a little bit.
Conway does look like he's fatigued here.
And Drumhouse turns first over Conway, not over Malone. And Drumhouse looking like he's almost making a move on Malone a little bit there. He does have the fastest last 50. 136.82, your champion, Reed Malone. Drumhouse second, 137.94. Third place, Matt Conway, 138.56. Adam Stacklin fourth, 139.27. Fifth, Drury, 139.64. And Bondarenko sixth, 140.32. A little disappointing for the Oak Park senior. Obviously another team trying to stay in that top 10.
Absolutely. Oak Park drops a point. Lake Forest picks up a point. U-High picks up a point as well.
And Lake Forest still moving up in their events.
Absolutely.
Continuing to put the pressure on Hinsdale Central.
2-point meet now, if everything stays the same. And for U-High, Libertyville already lost 4, now they pick up 1 for that battle for fourth place. U-High now 5.5 points seated in front of Libertyville. this one, Malone had his state record, and he put it on cruise control. Later on today, he doesn't have that state record. And we saw Grumhouse make the move. His mother told me last night that Peter said, I'm getting second place in that 200 free. And he made a move to 137. So now,
Very nice time.
the question is, can he make a move in that 500 to help push Reed Malone for that state record?
I think especially watching how smooth he swam that, actually coming back on the field there,
Sure.
I think he's going to push that 500. I don't think he's going to beat Malone, but I think he's going to help Malone get to that next level. And that obviously being the event where Malone is a little more motivated to try to do something today. And when you're as talented as Reed Malone, you can actually make those kind of decisions. Take a state record in prelims in one and push it in the other for finals. And that's hopefully what he's trying to do today.
And with those 2 points that St. Charles picked up in the medley, plus the 4 that Gannon just picked up for him in that 200, they're now looking at 68 points, putting them seated ahead of Loyola. So now they're in that battle with Libertyville for top 5.
Once again, state finals, always an interesting thing. So many ups and downs of teams.
And so many variables with the kids that are in the bottom 6. If you're top 6, you're locked into those points. If you're 7th, you can get 1 point. And so
there was Nick Jesse with his 141.99 for 12th. Jared Schimmelfinning
he'll be back here
taking the 11th place, 141.83 from Notre Dame. The Lincoln Way North senior, Jake Pearson, 141.48 for 10th.
Who had really an unbelievable senior campaign, was fast all year long, was able to drop the little he needed, and he's a double scorer. Nick Haseman, we're going to see him later in that backstroke.
8th place with a 140.77.
Really a very nice career for one of those guys that doesn't swim for the powerhouse programs. Kyle Gannon looking to cap a very successful swimming career at St. Charles North.
Definitely out to a bang with a great split on that medley and then a sub 140 time in that 200.
I don't think Jake Pearson ever made it onto the block. There he goes and gets his medal finally.
Your 6th place finisher, Oak Park senior Nikita Bondarenko.
And on a side note, I do see Jake Miller back there. Looks like he will give this IM a try for the consolation final.
We had heard mixed rumors whether he was or was not going to swim the 200 IM.
His teammate Adam Drury will be back next year.
5th place, 139.64, a great swim for Adam Drury. Adam Stackland coming off also kind of a disappointing junior year. Really had a fantastic senior year, almost breaking that 139, going 139.27 for a 4th place finish.
Conway actually 3/10 faster even today than the 30-80 win yesterday. Just wasn't enough to hold off Grumhouse, but again, quite a swimming family the Conways are, and Matt just adding to the legend.
And there is your second place finisher, Peter Grumhouse from Lake Forest, 137.94.
And the thing I like about Grumhouse is he did it the right way. He wasn't top 6 in either event last year, and obviously put the work in, made that improvement, and now he's going to be going for his second place finish in this state meet in the 500.
And your state champion, and one of the real big names in Illinois this year, Reed Malone,
and really
136.82 from New Trier.
A guy that's going to go down in the history of Illinois swimming is Reed Malone as a state record holder and a national record holder on the 400 relay last year, a key cog in 3 state championship teams for the Trevians. Just, you could write a novel on a career of a guy like Reed Malone. I think USC is going to be pretty happy. And Iowa, for that matter, with Grumhouse, with the kind of move he made. And Grumhouse's mom told me that Conway's going to Iowa as well. So quite the pickup for the Hawkeyes.
Couple more battles for them in the near future, I'm sure.
So now we get ready for the consolation final of the medley relay. Lane 2 is Pierce Parlier. He's a senior from Oswego East Co-op. In 3, Jake Miller. In 4, Will Shannell, junior from St. Charles East. In 5, Connor Lamb, junior from Naperville Central. In 6, Stephen Fishman, junior from Normal U High. And in 7, Mitch Strollman, junior from Brother Rice.
This is the one swim Naperville Central has today. Connor Lamb obviously going to want to try to make it a good one.
Quiet for the start, please. Quiet for the start.
I like Lamb to win this heat. I really thought the Lamb was going to be top 6 in this event. And with Miller, obviously not at 100%, I think Lamb's the most sure bet out there.
And we'll see if Miller tries to swim this a little bit differently yesterday. He went out pretty hard yesterday and faded during that breaststroke and especially the freestyle. He looks a little more smooth today. Still out 24.4, which is the fastest to the wall. Right in front of Will Shannell, 24.48.
And there goes Lamb. Looks like he might be surging to the lead here. He's right there with Shannell.
And actually, Parlier is in first place currently. He is a backstroker, so this is his time to try to make a quick move.
51 in the backstroke this year. Faster than he was a year ago when he scored, but the backstroke so much tougher, couldn't get it done this year. Here's where Lamb needs to try and put these other guys away. 59 in the breaststroke yesterday.
Definitely the strongest breaststroke. As you can see, he is making a big move here. And he is a pretty confident in his freestyle as well. I've seen him do some pretty nice stuff in a 200 freestyle. He can finish this race.
Well, he's definitely not a sprinter, so he's got the endurance to bring this one home. He's got about a body length lead on this field.
32.43, very solid breaststroke split.
Miller and Strollman touch together, fighting for second. Connor Lamb.
And Miller looks so much stronger than yesterday in this freestyle. Once again, taking it out a little bit slower. See if he can drop a little time from that 154 yesterday.
Lamb and then Strollman, Miller.
Lamb is getting reeled by Will Shannell and Jake Miller, but he is going to touch first with a 153.64. Shannell second, 153.93. And Miller a little bit faster than yesterday, 153.97. Fourth place was Strollman, 155.0. Fifth place, Pierce Parlier, 155.56. And sixth place, Steve Fishman, 155.90.
So now it's time for the championship final. In lane 2, Alex Keller, senior from FBN St. Anthony. In 3, Mike Heyman, senior from Cary Grove Co-op. In 4, your number 1 seed, Nick Zito, senior from Madison Trail Willowbrook Co-op. In 5, Jay Park, junior from the hometown Trevians. In 6, Matt Salerno, sophomore from Mattia Valley. And in 7, John Salomon, sophomore from Glenbrook South.
And this should be a pretty good battle between Nick Zito and Jay Park. You look at the two of them, and they don't quite have the same physical stature.
Well, and don't count out Heyman, too. Heyman's within 3/10 of Zito's top time yesterday as well. Zito, definitely the tallest member of this championship final.
And one of the tallest, if not the tallest, at the meet.
Absolutely.
We'll see if he can pull it away. He really does not have much of a weak link in this IM.
We saw 44 relay split yesterday, just incredible out of the breaststroke. Zito out really fast in that fly yesterday.
Looks like he's doing the same thing today.
And I think
very quick turn.
I think Jay Park's biggest problem with Zito is he really better than Zito in any one stroke? Zito's fly obviously better. His backstroke probably about the same. They're both breaststrokers in the top 6 today. And then
Zito's going to be able to close quite a bit faster.
Zito's 44, and he's already out in the lead. Salomon.
22.87 for Zito going out. Actually over half a second faster than when he took it out yesterday.
A little bit of adrenaline, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see if that hurts him in the freestyle. We've seen a lot of guys take out their fly too fast, and it really does hurt coming home if you take that fly out even just a couple tenths too fast.
Well, there we go to that breaststroke. And Zito and Park.
2 in a row of the fastest split. Well, Park beats him by 4 100ths there. Park gaining on Zito a little bit in the breaststroke. And it is going to be a battle between Park and Zito here.
They are putting everyone else away. Salomon making a push for 3rd here, and we know he's a nice freestyler as well.
We'll see if that fly comebacks to bite Zito.
Park beat him by 7/10 there.
Park does look like he is closing and passing Zito. And it looks like Park will be your state champion. But Zito coming back a little bit.
Got those long arms. Here they come, long reach. Oh! 1/100.
And it's 1/100. Park wins 150.04 over Zito, 150.05.
How about Salomon, 50-point today from a 52.4 yesterday. Quite a swim for that young man.
150.95 for 3rd, Salomon. 4th place, 152.75, Heyman. 5th, Keller, 152.91, and 6th, Salerno, 153.42.
Looks like you proved prophetic at 22 in the fly. And maybe part of it looked like Zito had plenty left in that last 25, but his first 25 of the freestyle was ugly.
Yeah, I mean, again, I do think that fly hurt him a little bit. You can see going into that last freestyle turn, he was hurting.
So Jay Park, from not even making the sectional team in the IM last year to the state champion for the hometown Trevians.
Great swim from both of those guys. And also amazing swim from the outside over here. Salomon with breaking 151.
Going forward.
Great sophomore talent there from Glenbrook South.
Getting ready for the awards here for the 200 IM. top the medley relay with the IM.
And that was Steve Fishman from U-High, 12th place. Pierce Parlier, Oswego East Co-op, taking the 11th place finish.
Strawman, the sophomore, excuse me, the junior from Brother Rice.
There's Jake Miller, sophomore phenom from U-High, accepting his medal, 8th place. For 9th place.
Miller certainly should return with a vengeance a year from now. Will Shannell, a junior from St. Charles East.
Having a fantastic year. He is the 8th place finisher.
And then Lamb, he's going to try and lead a young and talented group of Red Hawks back towards the top 10 a year from now. So now we get ready to hand out top 6 awards here.
Matt Salerno, another great sophomore from Mattia Valley, taking your 6th place medal.
Number 1 seed in the breaststroke later on.
Alex Keller, 5th place.
And Michael Heyman.
And there's Michael Heyman from Cary Grove, accepting the 4th place medal.
Salomon, who can really do a little bit of everything, and that's why the IM fits him. Really no reason at this point to not stick with the IM going forward. It'll be interesting to see if he tries maybe the 100 free or something next year, or he thinks the breaststroke field's going to open up for him. Nick Zito has put on quite a show the last 2 days in the IM. And Jay Park, a 2013 IM state champion from New Trier, joining Reed Malone as individual winners. And he's got 2 gold medals now after that medley relay. Park, if he can make something happen in the breaststroke, looking at maybe 4 gold medals out of this state meet in his junior year.
Yeah, after that, you got to be pretty dumb not to pick him as the state champion in that breaststroke. He definitely looks like he's got the good stuff today.
The 50 free is next, beginning with the athletes with disabilities. The rest of our events all are going to have 3 competitors, adding Daniel Suero, freshman from Frem.
High school in 9th grade is Jazz
freestyle. Suero in the same classification as Charlie Densko. And the new true freshman is going to collect his second gold medal. Chaz Centauri from West Frankfort is the only competing member of his classification. So he's going to be your state champion in classification A for all four events today. 31:57, 32:45 was his time in sectionals. Suero 44:35, a little under a second off his time. And Centauri, about 2 seconds better in his 53 from sectionals. Now we're getting ready for our consolation final in the 53. In lane 2, David Schriesheim, senior from New Trier. In 3, Daniel Rodriguez, senior from Rock Island. In 4, Josh Nordike, senior from Centralia Christ Star Rock Lutheran. In 5, Britton Wilkie, junior from Springfield. In 6, Andrew King, senior from Bremd. And in 7, Mike McWhirter, senior from Waubonsie Valley. And Waubonsie Valley battling to move up in that top 10.
We'll see if he can make a little move. We went about a tenth faster than yesterday on that 200 medley relay. And really, there's only a couple tenths separating the guys from about 6th to 12th place. Now, this is definitely an event where anything can happen. The top seed doesn't have a perfect turn. There's a couple tenths right there that everyone else can make up. I like Nordike in this.
Yeah, Nordike, the guy that's been sub 21 on the Y circuit. Definitely capable of more than the 21.2 he put out yesterday. Confusion here.
Ride for the start. Take your mark.
There we have a fair start. And looks like Wilkie and Nordike, they're going to flip first. Then I think McWhirter, who's in third at the 25 there. And McWhirter looking pretty good down here in lane 7.
McWhirter looking very strong.
As well as Schriesheim up top.
And it is Nordike first. McWhirter second, 21:22. 21:08 from Nordike takes it.
That would have been good enough for top 6 yesterday. And McWhirter, as you said, makes a move.
That really looks good to make sure that Waubonsie can hold their 7th place. If he can lead off with the 21.2, no one's touching that relay in the bottom 6.
And that moves Waubonsie up to 59.5 points.
And they are really having a nice finals right now.
Bumps them up ahead of Oak Park for 9th place. And who'd have it any other way if Oak Park and Fenwick get to battle in that last relay for 10th place?
That'll definitely give us the ability to see something nice out of those two teams from Oak Park.
And we're getting ready for our championship final now in the 50-yard freestyle. In 2, Jackson Hallsmer from Byron Co-op. In 3, Carl Molinarski, senior from Niles North. In 4, your state record holder, Connor Black, senior from Mundelein. In 5, Brian Held, the very impressive junior from St. Gennard Griffin, #1 seed in the 100 free. In 6, Matt Harrington, sophomore from Libertyville. And in 7, Massimo Chavez, sophomore from Whitney Young.
And something that a lot of people might not realize, Ryan Held's 50 freestyle time actually would have been the state champion time last year over Black and champion Max Shordecki. So he's no slouch. He knows what he's doing out there, and that 20.3 is moving. You might see someone being right there with Black, at least through the 25, and it'll probably be Ryan Held.
Held and Black in those middle lanes.
Held doing a nice job staying pretty close to Black. But Black
pulling away. Held's got a hold off Halsmer up top there. Looks like he will. 1995, 20.2 for Ryan Held.
Ryan Held looked very strong right there. There's a kid who obviously in his mind saying, I want to get that record next year. Third place, Milinarski, 20.81. Halsmer, fourth, 20.82. Harrington, fifth, 21.05. And Chavez, 21.13 for sixth place.
So we'll get ready for the awards here, and then we'll take a short break while they warm up for the finals of the diving competition, and we'll be back to bring that to you. And then after diving, will be another warm-up, and we'll come back with that 100th butterfly consolation final. So I guess the story there is Connor Black keeps himself in first place for the Senior Swimmer of the Year voting. That's, I mean, the 50, you just never know what's going to happen, even if you are better than everybody else. You know, a start, a turn, a tie, anything can get you beat.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of super talented people slip off the block, you know, miss their turn, not hit it perfectly, hit a lane line, anything could happen, especially at a meet like this where the nerves are running high.
Libertyville actually dropped another half point there with Harrington getting fifth. Now seeded for 70 points exactly. And right now, St. Charles North, 68 they're looking at, if nothing else changes. And here are your winners. Charlie Genskow, again, champion for the second time today. And there are your runner-up finisher. In one classification, Daniel Suero, and your champion in the other, Chaz Centauri. And now here come the consolation finalists. And the 53 to get their awards. Daniel Rodriguez from Rock Island, a team that really went nuts in sectionals. Rodriguez able to hold on and make it into the top 12 yesterday. 21.82 today. David Schriesheim talked about this senior class for New Trier, and he's been their relay guy going on 3 years now. King from Frem. Stater, Britton Wilkie, from Springfield High School. Wilkie will be back next year, only a junior. Mike McWhirter. You like to say, one of the more talented kids in the state. Always seems to have some nagging injury, keeps from putting in the training he would need to really blow up. But 21-2 and an 8th place finish in the 50, a nice way to go out for him.
You can do that with an injury, especially something that's going to, take you away from training. And be able to do something like that, almost break 21, that low of a 21. That kid's got uber talent.
And then Josh Nordike, 21-08.
7th place finisher.
Championship finalists. Massimo Chavez, bottom 6 a year ago, was a freshman. 6th place this year. From Whitney Young. Pretty unassuming looking kid for a sprinter, but he can really get up and go. 20.6 in sections. Matt Harrington, one of the 2 big leaders for this Libertyville team that's returning everybody for next year. Really,
another kid who's really not too assuming. You look at the kid, he's not a
well-built,
super tall or Halsmer's definitely a kid you can look at and say this kid's got to be a sprinter. Very tall, very broad kid.
Great year for him. Didn't even score last year as a junior. Can now be your 4th place finisher against a really loaded field in the 53 in the top. Carl Malinarski did 200 freestyle a year ago. I'd say he probably made a pretty good switch. That 200 was...
I think it was a very smart switch. To get 3rd place, he was not getting 3rd place with the field that he had in the 200 this year.
Very likely not. Ryan Held. As soon as this meet ends, we get to start the senior swimmer discussion between Held, Tan, and now Jay Park, in all honesty, after that IM championship. And Connor Black, 2nd swimmer in Illinois high school state history under 20, and a state record holder. When you start breaking records that were set by gold medalists, you're doing pretty good for yourself.
Well, that's a kid to keep tabs on for the future at Stanford.
As you said yesterday, just a kid that looks like he can put muscle on top of muscle onto that frame going forward. And really, I mean, he already looked like he put muscle on just from last year, but still, such a big frame, pretty slender kid. He could definitely do more. And we keep talking about underwaters with a lot of these kids. His aren't where they could be. If they work on that at Stanford, he might be untouchable. I'll be interested to see where that 19.8 stacks up when we make our trip to NCAAs later in March. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to set up for diving. Our 12 divers are going to warm up. Then we're going to have our 3 final rounds to determine the top 12. When we come back, diving finals. I am Skylar King with my brother Brandon. You are watching IHSA.TV's live streaming coverage of the 82nd Annual Boys State Swim Meet from the New Churn Natatorium. Getting ready to go here for the diving finals. Your order here is going to be Sean Scary, sophomore from Deerfield, Joey Safelli, sophomore from Chicago Heights Marion, Ryan Kuchwa, senior from Downers Grove South, Alex Zuniga, senior from Vernon Hills, Blake Ripe, sophomore from Stevenson, Brandis Hefner, senior from U-High, Michael Clem, junior from Rockford Christian Life, Andrew Marsh, senior from Lake Forest, Jake Valterell, senior from Lockport, Tyler Pastore, senior from Lockport, James Lichtenstein, senior from Stevenson, and Max Showalter, sophomore from Fenwick. Coming into these championship rounds, Brandis Hefner is your lead diver, just 1.1 points ahead of Zafelli.
Perform your dives that you not be walking or moving where you might be in your line of sight. The diving order for this afternoon. Diving first from Deerfield.
Your
Sean
top 12 rankings here. 1 through 12 are Hefner, Zafelli, Scary, Lichtenstein, Clem, Showalter, Marsh, Pastore, Zuniga, Kujua, Valterell, and Ripes. Something to watch here is what DD do these kids have left. I talked to Max Showalter's father before the meet started today, and he said that he had nothing but 2.2, 2.5, 2.6. I believe he said DD's left, which means Showalter is one to watch, potentially make a move up from 6th place. And that could be a big determining factor. Most of these guys have been on the top of their games yesterday morning, and they all carry over their form. It's really going to be about who has enough DD to pass guys when everyone's diving at a similar level. Scary and Hefner traded the lead most of the day. I read at the very end, in the final dive, Joey Zafelli passed Scary for 2nd place. It's like we're almost ready to get going here.
Team's first round of championship dive. Sean Scary, 401. Amber dive height, 1.5.
Scary there. Throwing a low DD dive.
7, 7 and 1/2, 6 and 1/2, 6 and 1/2, 6 and 1/2, 7.
6.5s and 7s, 7.5s up on the board. 348.85 is his new total. Zafelli is next. Against the 2nd coming in here. Kujua is next. He was your top returner from last year. Kujua forward dive pike, 1.3. That's about the lowest we've seen.
7, 7 and 1/2, 6 and 1/2, 7. Alex Zuniga, 303.
318.75 is his score. Zuniga, reverse 1.5 somersault tuck 2.1.
6 and 1/2, 6 and 1/2, 6 and 1/2, 7, 6 and 1/2, 6, 7. Blade right.
334.50 is his new total.
1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist, free position, 2.5.
Blake Ripes, sophomore from Stevenson, who was coming in 12th place.
5 and 1/2, 4 and
That was a
1/2.
back 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist free. 2.5 is the DD on that dive.
5 and 1/2, 5 and 1/2.
Hefner is next. He's again your lead diver coming in these last 3 rounds.
1.5 somersault height, 2.4.
somersaults and pike. 2.4 the DD on that dive. Has really been rock solid throughout this competition without a misstep.
5 1/2, 5, 6, 6 1/2.
And he should continue to lead 368.95.
Pike 1.7.
Michael Plum from Rocky Christian Light, reverse dive pike, 1.7.
5, 5, 5 1/2, 5 1/2, 4 1/2, 6 1/2.
Andrew Marsh from Lake Forest is next.
Andrew Marsh, 52.23. Back, 1 somersault, 1 1/2 twist, free position, 2.3.
Marsh, his Lake Forest team is on fire today in the early going. Looking to make a move as they
3
are running down Hinsdale for that second place trophy.
4, 4 1/2.
Back, 1 somersault, 1.5 twist free.
4 1/2. Jay Volterro,
324.5 is his new total.
1.6.
Jake Volterro from Lockport is next, followed by his teammate Tyler Pastore.
Tyler Pastore, 301, reverse dive pike, 1.7.
Pastore, reverse dive pike, 1.7. Our last two divers of this ninth round are going to be Lichtenstein and Showalter.
7, 6 1/2, 6 1/2, 6 1/2, 7, 6 1/2. James Lichtenstein, 401, inward dive pike, 1.5.
Lichtenstein, inward dive pike, 1.5.
6, 7, 6 1/2, 6 1/2, 6 1/2.
Lichtenstein, fourth, coming into these finals, 343.30. His new total. Showalter's our last diver of this round.
52.33, back 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist, free position, 2.5.
Showalter, back 1.5 somersaults, 1.5 twist free, 2.5.
5 1/2, 4 1/2, 5 1/2, 5 1/2, 6.
The way they get the scores here is that we have 7 judges. You drop 2 highs and the 2 lows, and you add up the 3 middle scores divided by the degree of difficulty. 340.40 is his new total, and we're back to Scary for the beginning of round 10. Scary, reverse 1.5 somersaults, pike 2.4.
4, 3 1/2, 3 1/2.
Scary didn't quite get to
4, 3 1/2, 3 1/2.
perfectly straight there. His new total is 375.25, and Cifelli is next. Reverse 1.5 somersaults pike for Cifelli, 2.4 the DD.
5 1/2, 6, 7 1/2, 6.
Cifelli second place,
7.
still after round 9, 398.60. Takes over the top total through 2 divers here.
back, 2 somersaults and pike, 2.5.
6, 5 1/2, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
As he looks to make a move, 11th place
51-34.
after 9 rounds.
1 1/2 somersault, 2 twists.
Here is Alex Zuniga, senior from Vernon Hills. Zuniga forward, 1 1/2 somersaults, 2 twists free, 2.6.
4, 5 1/2. Correction. Restart these, please. 4, 4 1/2, 5 1/2, 4, 3 1/2, 4 1/2, 5. Judge 2 needs to be in the middle of those. I think we got it. We'll reread. Rereading. 4, 5 1/2, 4 1/2, 4,
So some
3 1/2,
confusion
4
from
1/2,
the
5, and
table announcer as to which judge
5.
had which score over there. Anyway, Blake Ripes is next. Ripes moved from 12th to 8th through 9 rounds.
Please reflash Judge 7 if that's a half showing. If not, please hide it. Rereading the scores. 4, 5 1/2, 4 1/2, 4, 3 1/2, 4 1/2, 5. Thank you.
Finally, we get that sorted out, and Blake Ripes can get ready to go here in round number 10, moving from 12th to 8th after the 9th round. Ripes, inward dive pike, 1.5. Sophomore from Stevenson.
5 1/2, 5 1/2, 6, 5
Stevenson's
1/2.
divers have really come on these last few years, led by Lichtenstein and Ripes. And take that mantle from him these next 2 years. 352.35 is Ripes' new score. Hefner nails another one. Forward, 1 1/2 somersaults, 2 twists free, 2.6.
7, 6, 6, 6, 5 1/2, 6, 6 1/2.
Hefner 4:15.75, pulling away from this field. Clem from Rockford Christian Life, back 1 1/2 somersault.
5,
And pike,
5, 5, 5 1/2, 4 1/2.
2.3 the DD there. He was 7th through 9 rounds. His new score 364.20. And here's Andrew Marsh from Wake Forest. And that's always been Marsh's money dive. Inward 2 1/2 somersault tuck, 3.1.
4 1/2, 4 1/2, 4 1/2, 5, 4 1/2, 5 1/2, 5.
His new total 363.85.
Forward, 1 1/2 somersault, 1 twist, free position, 2.2.
Jake Valterrell, forward 1 1/2 somersaults, 1 twist free, 2.2. He's 12th after 9 rounds, and that will not improve.
2, 2 1/2, 0, 1, 1 1/2, 2, 0. Tyler, 203. back
Tyler
1 1/2
Pastore,
somersault pike,
as Valterrell probably locks up 12th place. As Story back 1.5 somersaults and pike, 2.3.
5 and 1/2, 4 and 1/2, 4 and 1/2, 5, 3 and 1/2, 4 and 1/2, 6. James,
3:59.00 Pastor's new score, and here is Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein back 2.5 somersaults in the tuck, 3.0.
4 and 1/2, 4, 4, 4 and 1/2, 4, 4 and 1/2, 4 and 1/2.
Liechtenstein's new total 382.30 with Showalter, our final diver of round 10.
Max, 51.32, 4, 1.5 somersault, 1 twist, free position, 2.2.
Showalter forward, 1.5 somersaults, 1 twist free, 2.2. Showalter 5th through 9. And we are getting ready for our final 12 dives of the day. It's time to start keeping track of these scores at home. Figure out our order of finish here. Scary leads it off.
Sean, 305, reverse 2.5 somersault tuck, 3.0.
Scary reverse 2.5 somersaults and tuck, 3.0 the DD there.
4, 4, 4 and 1/2, 4, 3 and 1/2, 4 and 1/2, 4.
So Scary's event total 4:11.25.
Reverse 2.5 somersault tuck, 3.0.
Felly with that same dive. And he's just a bit better. Some more 5s, no 3.5s. Cifelli
4 and 1/2,
is looking for a big dive there
5, 5.
to pass Brandis Hefner, 4:43.60. I don't think that'll be enough.
1.5 twist, free position, 2.6.
Kujua now. Kujua, reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist free, 2.6.
7, 6, 5 and 1/2, 4 and 1/2, 6, 5, 6 and 1/2.
Kujua's total 4:01.75.
1.5.
This is Alex Zuniga from Vernon Hills. Zuniga, very low DD dive in the final round, inward dive pipe 1.5. He was 6th coming in. Will likely drop from 6th.
5 and 1/2, 6, 5 and 1/2, 5 and 1/2, 6 and 1/2, 5 and 1/2.
His total 393.80.
Inward 2 somersault.
He is 4th out of 4 divers that have finished so far. Ripes, inward 2 somersaults in tuck, 2.8 for the Stevenson sophomore. Trying to close with a bang.
4 and 1/2, 4 and 1/2.
352.35. He was 11th coming into this final round. His total 392.95.
1.5.
inward dive pike, 1.5. The number to beat is 4:43.60.
7, 6 and 1 half, 7, 6 and 1 half, 7.
And 4:43.25, and he is your likely champion.
405, inward 2.5 somersault tuck, 3.1.
Clem, inward 2.5 somersaults and tuck, 3.1. Didn't quite straighten out those legs.
4, 3 and 1 half, 4, 3 and 1 half, 4, 4 and 1 half, 3 and 1 half. And
399.85 is his total.
somersault tuck, 3.0.
Marsh with another big DD here. Reverse 2.5 somersaults and tuck. 4.0.
3 and 1 half, 4, 4, 4 and 1 half, 3 and 1 half, 3 and 1 half, 4.
And his total, 398.35.
3 somersault tuck, 2.9.
Terrell, forward 3 somersaults and tuck, 2.9.
5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 5 and 1 half, 4.
And his total
405, inward,
for the diving competition is going to be 358.65. Pastori, inward 2.5 somersaults, tuck, 3.1.
2 and 1 half, 2 and 1 half, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
His total 386.90.
Back 1.5 somersault, 2.5 twist, 3 position, 2.9.
Liechtenstein's final dive, back 1.5 somersaults, 2.5 twist free, 2.9. He was third in 10 rounds.
4 and 1 half, 4, 3, 3 and 1 half, 3, 3 and 1 half, 3 and 1 half.
And his 11 dive total 412.75. He will be third, barring what Showalter does here. Our final dive of the competition, reverse 1.5 somersaults pike, 2.4 for Showalter.
3, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 3 and 1 half. Judges, thank you very much.
4:04.30.
Results for you guys shortly. Backwards for you guys.
So your state champion, Brandis Hefner, followed a little over 3 points behind by Joey Cifelli. Then it'll be Liechtenstein, Scary, Showalter is 5th. Kujua moves from 10th to 6th. Clem is 7th. Marsh is 8th. Ripes is 9th. Zuniga is 9th. Ripes is 10th. Pastori 11th, and his teammate Terrell is 12th. We'll be back to bring you the diving awards, and then after another short break, the rest of the swimming finals. You're watching IHSA.TV's live coverage of the Boys State Swim and Dive Championships. I am Skylar King. We'll be back with you shortly.
In 12th place from Lockport with 358.65, Jake Otero. In 11th place with 386.90 from Lockport,
Welcome back in to the New Natatorium. I'm Skylar King alongside my brother Brandon, Equal Valley's girls coach, winner of the third place trophy this year. And we're ready to get going here for the 100 butterfly. The big story from diving, the only team headline really, is Andrew Marsh dropped down from 7th to 8th, giving 2 points back for Lake Forest, giving Hinsdale now, once again, a 4-point projected cushion. But a lot's going to change potentially in these next two events with Portland and this fly for Hinsdale, and then Leach and Rowe in the 100 free for Hinsdale and Lake Forest, respectively. Portland looks like he's about the last one off the block there.
With only 3 individual swims for Hinsdale Central, each one of them have to count. Right now, he looks like he's about last at the wall. Patnode taking a pretty good lead. Drew Dvorak now looks like he's about in first place after that underwater. And Kristen Ville was the actual first place at the 50.
Pretty equal all the way across the board, though. A lot's going to come down to this last turn.
And Drew Dvorak looks good from the outside, but it's going to be Neville first, 49.69.
And that's a disaster for Hinsdale Central.
Second place, Drew May, 50.14. Third place, Kyle Patnode, 50.19. Fourth, Drew Dvorak, 50.41. Fifth, Hellander, 50.71. And Brian Portland, sixth place, 50.99.
And they just gave 3 points back. That makes it just now a 1-point cushion over Lake Forest. Here's our championship final, the second of 2 butterfly showdowns between Black and Jovanovic today. Is there a key here for Jovanovic to pull this upset? Is there something he needs to do maybe differently from yesterday in order to beat Connor Black?
I think he needs to be right out with him at the 50, which is going to be tough. He's going to have to use those amazing underwaters and stick right with him at the 50 if he wants to beat him at the 100.
In your championship final here, in 2, Kyle Ujay from Barrington, in 3, Matt Conway from Warren, in 4, Connor Black, in 5, Andrew Jovanovic, in 6, Alex Narsky from Libertyville, and in 7, Matt Harrington from Libertyville.
And Jovanovic is right with him. Black, though, just like yesterday, starts to pull away with the last stroke at the 50. 21.78 for Black, 21.93 Jovanovic. And Jovanovic is going to make this a show. This could be the best event of the meet for the top 2 finishers.
Here they come.
Black with a great last turn.
Absolutely.
And he looks like he's going to take it now.
That last underwater didn't help Jovanovic that much.
Jovanovic faded big time at the end there.
46.71.
And that is a new national record. 46.71.
Connor Black. I think it's safe to say the battle for senior swimmer is over.
Not too many people get a senior swimmer or get a national record and don't also get a senior swimmer award. First place, 46.71 for Black. Second, Jovanovic, 48.11. Harrington takes third from the outside, 49.07. Fourth place, Matt Conway, 49.13.
And it really was almost entirely on that last 25 where Connor Black just put away Andrew Jovanovic. He did go out just like you said he had to, but
He faded
ran
a
out of
little bit
gas.
that last 25, but I think that is exactly what he needed to do. And he probably just pushed Black to get that national record.
It's very likely. amazing career comes to a close. This is his last swim at the IHSA state finals, and you don't see it that often. You know, you think of Matt Elliott, who's broke the state record. He was a state champion every year of high school. This is the first time Connor Black's ever won state championships individually.
And he goes and does it with a great way to end, with a state record and then a national record.
Absolutely.
What a phenomenal way to end your high school career as swimming.
So here come your bottom 6 finishers.
Both place, Brian Portland from Hinsdale Central.
Part of that very strong sophomore class. Aaron Hellender. Kean Halsmer, quite a strong duo for Byron. Both seniors.
Drew Dvorak takes the 10th place medal from Neuqua Valley. Ninth place. 50.19 from Oak Park, Kyle Patnode. Drew May right at also a 50.1, takes the 8th place medal, Edwardsville.
And you told me that you thought, last night you told me you thought Chris LaVille was the dangerous man in this fly heat with how he looked in that sprint backstroke. And lo and behold, 49.6, quite a way to finish his career for the Notre Dame senior. Moving down from 7th to 9th. Oak Park is now only 1 seed point ahead of Fenwick for that 10th place spot.
Snarski receiving the 6th place medal. Junior from Libertyville. There's Ujier from Barrington in 5th place, 50.16.
Not many people would have picked Ujier to have the top finish on the Barrington team the way Jack Strauss has swum all year. Matt Conway still has 1 more swim to go, but both his individuals faster than yesterday. Can't really ask much more from the Warren senior. And I did get a correction. I misremembered. Conway actually going to North Carolina next year. I said I thought he was joining Drumhouse in Iowa, but he's heading down to North Carolina.
There's your 3rd place finisher, Matt Harrington. Big time sophomore out of Libertyville with a 49.07.
Absolutely. Has to be considered in all likelihood the favorite in this butterfly for next season.
And there is Jovanovic, who put on quite a show.
Still has that backstroke to go where he broke the state record yesterday, and obviously a heavy favorite to win that championship. And your new state and
there it was announced. Connor Black, state champion, state record holder, and national record holder. Probably the most impressive thing we've seen all weekend. 46.71.
That's 3 individual national records now for swimmers from Illinois. 2 for Olivius Maliga in the fall, 1 for Connor Black. Illinois continues to prove that we're one of the top swimming states in the country. We'll get ready here for the 100 free for athletes with disabilities.
same three swimmers from the 50 free, Centauri, Gensko, and Suero. So Gensko in that middle lane there. He and Suero are in the same division. Centauri in a division by himself. Gensko flips to the 50, 36.77. This time from sectionals, 113.31.
This is the third event for both Centaur and Gensko today.
I mean, do you think being able to swim the four individuals, is that more tiring than if you had to swim four events when two of them were relays?
I think so. I like the fact that, you know, I think if you had the option to either swim four individuals or like it is, you know, two individuals and two relays, or three relays and one individual. I like what we have right now. I think relays, it's easier to get up and swim on relays multiple times. The more individuals you have, I think the more, you know, really mentally draining. You can really get something out of your teammates when you're on a relay. But when it's just you up there, it is a little more mentally draining.
Gensko, he touches first yet again. 14.43. A little over a second off his sectional time. Suero touches in 33.47. A little better than a second faster than his sectional time. And Centauri coming to the flags now. And heel touch, 204.33. A little over a second, a little under a second off his sectional time. And now we'll get ready for the consolation finals of the 100 free. And after Portland dropped the 12th in the fly, this is really a big swim for Will Leach.
You know, it's one of those things, it's his senior year. It's his team to lead. So hopefully a second place finish for him. You know, he's got to realize that he's got to do something big here, especially with a big Lake Forest hammer, Colin Rowe, in the finals heat.
Absolutely. Because as of right now, Hinsdale Central, for those of you just joining us recently, based on seed points, everything else played out exactly the same as the way they're seeded from yesterday's preliminaries. Hinsdale will beat out Lake Forest by 1 point for the second place trophy. And so Brian Portland went from 9th to 12th in the butterfly. That was a 3-point loss for Hinsdale Central. Leach really needs to at the very least hold a spot, but in all honesty, to feel any sort of sense of comfort, needs to make a move here up from the 10th place that he qualified yesterday.
Very strong field here, all 46s and prelims.
In lane 2 is Nick Jesse, senior from Hoffman Estates. Lane 3, Jack Strauss, senior from Barrington. And 4 is Adam Drury, junior from U-High. And 5, Jackson Halsmer, senior from Byron. And 6 is Leach. And in 7 is Andrew King from Frem. Looks like Halsmer might flip first here, and he does. Andrew King from Frem's looking good in the outside lane as well.
Halsmer still with the lead. Strauss over there looking like he's trying to make a little bit of a move.
Here they come to the finish. Halsmer led at the 50. Looks like he's going to touch first at the 100. Leach finishes 4th, so no movement there.
Halsmer with a big 45,
Big swim
66.
for Colin Rowe. Yeah, absolutely. What a swim by Halsmer.
46-27, second Drury. Strauss did come in third with a 46-36. At this point, Lake Forest definitely carries the momentum from the rest of the meet from what they've done earlier on. See if Rowe can carry that on to this event, which he had a great preliminaries.
And this is a loaded heat in the final. And 1 is Jack Mangan, the top returner from last year. And 3, Adam Stacklin. And 4 is Held, your top qualifier. And 5, Rowe. And 6, Carl Malinarski. And in 7, Stephen Tan. All these guys, other than Held, who's 44.8, are within 3/10 of each other. 45.65 for Rowe to 45.95 for Tan.
Definitely one of the strongest 100 free finals we've ever seen from top to bottom.
We saw how well Held swimming earlier today, 20.2 in the 50 free.
And he really can move. Very quick tempo with his hands, very strong kick. Starting to make a little bit of a lead here, even into the 50.
Stephen Tan might be second there out in lane 7, looking really strong. Those are the 2 we've talked about could be part of the big battle for Senior Swimmer of the Year next year.
Tan and Stacklin were 2-3 there. See how they can close. Even Megan making a little run here.
Absolutely. 44-43. Stacklin, second place, 45-42.
Very nice swim for the senior from Waubonsie Valley.
Tan third.
Obviously 44-43 out of Held for first is a great swim.
And I think at this point, that time, would that have won the 100 last year?
I believe it would have. Mangan a little off from yesterday, takes 6th place, 46-27. 5th was Malinarski, 45.89. 4th, Colin Rowe, 45.77. 3rd place, 45.65 from Stephen Tan.
So
And 2nd place, Stacklin with that 45.42.
Rowe gives 2 points back. And so both Hinsdale and Lake Forest give us the points back in these last 2 events. And so if everything stays equal now, we're looking at Hinsdale Central 98 and Lake Forest 96. And what's left here, Peter Grumhouse, second in the 500. Second in the 500, and really not likely to drop at all, but also not
Especially
likely.
based off of his 200
which
free.
is unbelievable, but also not likely to move up past Reed Malone. Unless something drastically changes, no real movement should happen from Hinsdale Central's 200 free relay. They're over a second and a half clear of the field.
Unless something disastrous happens, obviously they are still the favorite to win that one in finals.
And so what it's starting to shape up like is it's going to come down to Eddie Maple's breaststroke for Hinsdale Central, and then the 2 400 relays, Lake Forest currently second, and in a pretty secure second. And the big one is going to be Hinsdale Central's 3rd place 400 relay.
With 2 teams nipping right on the heels.
Marmion, St. Charles North, right there in the mix.
And North is definitely swimming well today. Marmion had a nice medley earlier on.
Yeah, we don't get to see them again until the 200 relay. So there's Genskow. Picks up his third gold medal of the day. Chaz Centauri in a division by himself, so he is also a three-time gold medalist today. And so here's your consolation finalist, Andrew King. 12th place finisher, senior from Fremd. Nick Jesse, Hoffman Estate senior. And there's Will Leach, a senior from Hinsdale Central, who held his position as every spot up and down is going to make a big impact for Lake Forest Hinsdale Central today. Jack Strauss, the Barrington senior. He finishes 9th. Drury, the U-High junior, he's going to come back next year when they return. Really, their entire state team, except for Brandis Hefner, their first place diver. And Halsmer, what a time for him in the consolation final, 45.66. Pretty nice way to end his senior year.
I mean, I remember back just a couple years, 45, no problem, would pretty much win state every year. And now it takes a 45 just to make the top 6.
Yeah.
Shows you how much this state has progressed.
It was the exception rather than the rule. You had Deer Grievers won back in 2003, and then there was quite a few years there where it was 45 low to mid, and then obviously the suit year came along where Overholt broke Grievers' record. But you know, these last few years, if you're not a 44, you need not apply for that state championship. Jack Mangan certainly not what he was hoping for out of this state meet. He still has the backstroke and the 400 relay to go. They will attend Michigan in the fall. And again, on that national record relay last year, still quite a career for Jack Mangan. Carl Malinarski, 3rd in the 50, now 5th in the 100. Colin Rowe, part of the great senior class for Lake Forest with Grumhouse and Boltonu. Rowe, one of those guys who didn't even score at the state meet a year ago, and now he's a top 4 finisher in the 100 freestyle. Stephen Tan, 45.65. So if I put you on the spot right now, Held and Tan, is Tan swim the 100 free next year?
If I'm his coach, I would definitely look to get out of that event. Why would you want to mess with a 44.4 returning?
My thoughts exactly. Adam Stacklin, who another one of those kids having quite the bounce back year. Struggled with the back injury last year, but obviously clicking on all cylinders this year. Double top 6 and a runner-up finish in the 100 free. And then the junior from Springfield, St. Bernard Griffins, Ryan Held.
And there's a kid that colleges are going to be all over in the next couple years.
Yeah, if you're a sprinter, you don't even have to be a 44 and they'll come after you. But if you're a 44 and a 20-point, you'll get some attention. And certainly,
who knows what he's going to be next year if he could break that 20-point.
Well, he's definitely going to be state record hunting in this 100 free for sure.
Absolutely.
44.06. Getting ready now for the longest event in our program, the 500 free. There's your updated standings. The current scores: New Trier 75, Lake Forest 53, Libertyville 51, Waubonsie 47, UI 36, Mundelein 32, Hinsdale 30, St. Charles North 29, Warren and Oak Park tied with 23. That's your top 10. In this 500 freestyle final, or consolation final, I should say, we've got 6 guys that have never scored in the 500 free before this year. A couple guys are move-ins, and then you got a couple guys like Pearson and Gray, Strahlman, and Kodo, who all just made huge moves from last year. In lane 2 is going to be Kodo from Stevenson. He's a sophomore. And 3, Jack Tribble, a senior from Rockford Boylan Catholic. And 4, Spencer Gray. He's your number 1 seed in this consolation final, senior from St. Charles North. And 5 is Michael Wolf, junior from Bloomington. And 6, Jake Pearson, senior from Lincoln Way North. And in 7, Mitch Strahlman, junior from Brother Rice.
I think looking at this heat, obviously Spencer Gray, with the way their team's swimming today, is my favorite pick for this group. And again, someone who almost made the top 6 yesterday, only by 5 100ths missing it. And again, a kid that's never even scored before in this event. Had a great training partner in Gannon all season long.
Is there anybody, if you're Gray or Rob Rooney, Gray's coach, that would scare you in this heat if they're hanging around for too long?
I think one of the scariest kids might be that Mike Wolf kid from Bloomington.
We know that talent runs in that family.
Yeah, I mean, his brothers obviously in the past have had great swimming careers, and you never know what a talented family can do. Obviously, we've seen the Conways just spit out a bunch of talented kids.
And Wolf does flip first at the 100. He and Gray about a half body length up on the rest of this field right now.
This, more than any other event, one of those things that year-round swimming is where we really see the huge improvements, and the reason why we see a lot of guys that, you know, maybe have never scored before. Maybe they just made the state cut, right under the state cut last year, got motivated, really went after it in the summer months, and, you know, really made that huge improvement, continuing on in the fall, making a move, and then we see kids like this that maybe we've never heard of, scoring in the top 12, and still one of the fastest we've ever seen the 500, especially just to score top 12.
Is it just me? It seems like Wolf fires off those walls a little better than Gray. I don't know if that's an optical illusion or not, but this party is being joined right now by both Tribble and Pearson. As Wolf,
Pearson definitely making a move into second place, and Tribble trying to pass Gray on the other side. We're gonna have to see if Gray, with that training partner he's had all season, can bounce back the second half and make a big move.
So as they flip it to 250, Wolf 2:13.4 is out in front. He's followed in order by Pearson, Gannon, and Tribble. Strahlman and Kodo over a body length behind in the outside lanes.
Wolf with the fastest last split of 27.18, followed by Pearson 27.51. Tribble 27.95 and Gray 28.0.
Gray and Tribble are falling off the pace that Wolf and Pearson are setting right now.
Pearson might make this interesting with Wolf, as he just had the fastest last split, 27.88, to Wolf's 27.96. The rest of the field over 27.
Wolf looks like he put it into gear a little bit coming off that last wall. 27.95. Pearson falls off to 28.25. So almost a second is the lead for Michael Wolf. 150 to go.
And Wolf right now looks like he should be your consolation champion.
Wolf just seems to have a little extra giddy up coming off that wall at the other end there. With the 100 to go now, Wolf 337.65, Pearson 338.68. It's a two-man race here. If Pearson can put on a final charge.
And Gray and Tribble still fighting for that third place.
Tribble looks like he might have overtaken him over there. $50 to go. Here they come, over a second lead for Wolf here. And he looks strong, like he's gonna finish this as the consolation final champion.
And Tribble looks like he's gonna take the third place. Pearson, the second place. Tribble pulling away huge from Gray. And actually making a little bit of a move on Pearson, but a little too late.
Wolf 334.07. About a half-second drop. Pearson 35.07. And it just shows you most of those guys got slower from yesterday, other than Wolf and Pearson. It's hard to do 1,000 yards over the course of 2 days like that.
Gray definitely put it all on the line yesterday to try to make that top 6 finish.
Absolutely.
A little off today.
And as the consolation finalists swim down, we'll get you ready here for the big heat. In lane 2, Jonathan Burke. He's a returning top 6 finisher and a senior from Conant. In 3, also a top 6 returner, Kyle Gannon. He's the number 3 seed, a senior from St. Charles North. Your number 1 seed, just 5 100ths off the pool record yesterday. Reed Malone, a senior from New Trier. In 5, Peter Grumhouse, who made a really nice move in the 200 free today, and it could make things a little more interesting. Bondarenko from Oak Park is in 6. He's also a senior, and then the junior from Pure Notre Dame, Jared Schimmelfinning, is going to be in 7.
Based off that 200, I think we're going to have a pretty exciting race here. We'll see if Reed really gives it 100% this time. I think if Reed's where he needs to be at, it almost should be over by the 300 mark.
So throw that out the window. Let's assume we don't have these preconceived notions that Reed's the runaway winner, which based on yesterday looks like he will be. If you're Peter Grumhouse, he seems to be swimming the best out of everyone else in this heat. What do you have to do to set yourself up to potentially knock off Reed Malone?
I think the best thing you can do as the second seed, you know, in this event, unlike we talked about, you know, Jovanovic trying to stay with, if not stay in front of, at the 50 in the fly, he needs to pick away at Reed. He needs to stay right on his hip, right at his shoulders, and not lose any ground, and just kind of draft a little bit. You know, he needs to stay right with him.
So you think his best shot is to try and beat him on the last 75, last 50?
I think that's the best bet for him. Now, obviously, Reed's a phenomenal freestyler, and not too many guys can close like him. But Grumhouse, the best thing he can do, stay right with him and let Reed know he's not going away.
Well, Gannon isn't going away either in the early going. Neither is Jonathan Burke. Those 4 all slightly ahead of Bondarenko and Schimmelfinning.
We talk a lot about how Reed has a very smooth stroke. Grumhouse, definitely one of the only other guys in the state that might be more smooth than Reed Malone.
Absolutely. I think what's going to be interesting here is, you know, who's playing who right now? Are they going to drive themselves to a faster time, or are they going to drive themselves to a slower time because no one wants to make the first move right now?
Well, right now, Grumhouse is definitely making the first move because he has just outsplit Reed Malone in the last 2 splits and is out first at the 200 mark. And this is the point where Reed's got to say, you know, how much effort am I putting in right now, and should I get after it, because what is this kid gonna do the last 50 or even last 100 of this race? And he does not want to dig himself a hole here.
So halfway home here, 2:11s. Definitely not, at this point, gonna be state record today.
As you can see, Reed now looks like he's starting to pick it up just a little bit stronger kick. But it's one of those things, he cannot underestimate Peter Grumhouse right now.
No, he's certainly on fire this weekend.
And there we see Reed beating Grumhouse about 3/10 there. And Reed obviously showing that he was not giving it his all at the beginning of this race. I think it's kind of like a fighter feeling out his competition a little bit. And now he's gonna close and most likely win this by a pretty easy margin.
350 here, Malone flips. 25.91, beating Grumhouse by a full second on that.
That is his fastest split since his first 50. So obviously Reed has a lot left in the tank. And it is bye-bye Reed Malone.
Grumhouse staying right there on his feet. We also still have a nice battle between Burke and Gannon at the top of your picture.
And here comes Bondarenko, maybe making a little bit of a move on those two. About a stroke and a half behind.
26.9, definitely made a big-time move. Beat Burke by a second and Gannon by almost a second and a half.
And Reed is gonna win this race, but not as much as we thought.
Really a great swim for Grumhouse. He's looked good all weekend, and Bondarenko has passed Gannon and Burke.
It looks like Bondarenko could be our third place finisher after sort of a disappointing 200. However, those two guys are racing each other, and Burke just a huge turn going to his last 25. Looks like Burke actually might be our third place finisher as he just left Gannon in the dust.
4:23.2 for Malone, 4:24.2 for Grumhouse. Burke, 4:29.90. Bondarenko, 30.21, 31.82 for Gannon. And Schimmelfinning will glide in 4:39.17.
Burke obviously having a little bit left at the end there. 25.5 coming home. Fastest last split. Grumhouse 26.0, second to fastest. Really doing a nice job hanging with Reed Malone.
Absolutely. I definitely didn't expect that come this final that we'd say someone was within a second of Reed Malone at this state meet. It's really, again, we've talked about it, a credit to the work that Peter Grumhouse has put in over the last year and really made a huge move in all his swims. The big move from that race point-wise, the team battle here is -6 points for St. Charles North. That's the biggest move up or down for any team today. And that puts St. Charles North back down to even for the day, 62, back down below Loyola and Marmion. And so they were battling potentially for top 5, and it's going to be really hard for them to do that now with just the 400 relay left to go. Mitch Strahlman, junior from Brother Rice, had himself quite a year, never scored before. IM and 500 consolation finalist. Likewise, Nick Cotto. Stevenson, a pretty strong sophomore class as well. We've talked about Hinsdale's. Cotto, a sophomore, 11th in the 500. Also his sophomore teammate Alan Fang, we will see later in the backstroke. And sophomore teammate Blake Ripes, a scorer in diving. Spencer Gray, another one of those kids that's made a great move from last year. 10th place finisher, Jack Tribble.
made what turned out to look like a pretty good move to move from that IM to the 500, and he's your 9th place finisher.
There's another senior that had a pretty out there senior year, did not score at state last year, to go from that from 8th with a 4:35.07 from Lincoln Way North in the 500.
And Michael Wolf becomes the 3rd brother in the family to score at the state meet. Both his other 2 brothers ended their careers with top 6 finishes, and his oldest brother, Justin, with the state championship. Certainly, Michael Wolf's going to be in contention for some top 6 finishes next year. And your top 6 finishers. Schimmelfinning, the junior from Peoria, Notre Dame, bottom 6 a year ago, now a 6th place finisher. And with all the graduations, Schimmelfinning is going to be your top returner for next year at the state meet. Will likely be duking it out with hopefully a healthy Jake Miller a year from now.
Don't count out Michael Wolf.
Absolutely.
The improvements we saw with him in this year. There's another guy that could come back next year even more hungry.
Schimmelfinning Gannon, and then there's Bondarenko, Jonathan Burke, the Conant senior. Certainly not the meet that Conant was hoping for, but
A good
Burke's
last
bread
swim
and
for
butter.
him.
Absolutely. Breaking 30. Breaking 30 sort of seems like a small thing now that we've had the Thompsons and the Malones and the Burke Simses, but breaking 30 is still a heck of a swim. Peter Krumhaus, 4:24.24, which, 5 years ago, that had been a state record. So really an unbelievable swim for Peter Krumhaus. Truly one of the elite distance freestylers the state's ever seen. Reed Malone had to put his time in, battling Danny Thompson and even his teammate C.J. Smith, but Reed Malone is now a 3-time individual state champion and your 2013 champ in the 500 free.
That just proves exactly how hard it is to have that mentality, maybe not with the guy that's going to compete to break 420, to try to do it again.
Absolutely.
So, as we said, we thought that was going to be a concern for him all year long. And a lot of people had talked about not being able to break 420 again without anyone with them. And as you can see, that happened right there today.
Getting ready now for the consolation final of the 200 free relay. In 2 is St. Charles East. In 3, Glenbrook South, led by John Salomon, who led off in 20.7 yesterday. In 4, Wabansie Valley. In 5, Barrington. In 6, Niles North. And in 7, Sandburg. Wabansie, definitely the favorite here. They just missed getting top 6 by 3/100 some second to Loyola yesterday. McWhirter, obviously, 21-2 in the 50 free today. And then, of course, they have Mr. Stacklin on the relay as well, as having himself a nice meet.
They're going to want to have McWhirter get him onto a lead for that open water. Now, at the same time, they do have possibly that Glenbrook South Salomon leading off right by him. So he's going to have a little race. And a couple lanes over, I think it's Malinarski. So we're going to have a fast group, maybe even faster than the finals with these leadoff guys.
And here we go. Leadoff men in the water. Malinarski and Salomon should jump out to an early lead. McWhirter, though, hanging tough there with those two. He's going to flip
Right
third.
Right behind Salomon and Malinarski, 2 guys that are top-end sprinters. Salomon looks like he's going to touch first.
2081. A quarter 3/10 slower than is open. We'll see if that comes back to haunt Waubonsee Valley here.
Kelvin Newton in right now for Waubonsee. He's got to try to make up a little ground in this 2 spot. Handing it off to Bailey York in a second here. Glenbrook South still leading.
Van Niles
with
North.
a great split, 21-3-6 for Glenbrook South.
Sandburg's now in that mix too. The only team that's really far behind here is St. Charles East.
However, the way that Adam Stacklin is swimming today, you're going to need a lead. Yesterday he was 20.2.
And he's about a body length behind Glenbrook South here. We'll see how much he can catch up. And he catches almost all of it up on the dive.
And that shows you right there, a kid that can do that, and he is definitely going to touch first at the wall.
And
Just at the flip right there, he is already in first place.
And here comes Jack Strauss trying to
See
push
if we
for
can see our first legitimate 19-point relay possibly. And we do.
1995 for Adam Stacklin.
124.58.
Quite a way to end the career for Adam Stacklin. 124.58, as you said. That would be the second fastest time at this meet so far.
And I know talking to their coach just today, they had a slow start and kind of a bad turn in there yesterday. He even said to me, I think we can be one of the top times today. Obviously, you cannot move up from the consolation to the finals. But a 124.58, that is a heck of a time from the bottom 6.
Absolutely. The crazy thing is that they can't even break a school record going that. 124.00 with that Greg Bussey group. That was a state record for a while from 1997.
But that is a heck of a time from those 4 guys from Waubonsee Valley.
Absolutely. Your championship final now. Marmion is in 2, New Trier in 3, Hinsdale Central, your number 1 seed, is in 4. Fenwick is in 5, U-High is in 6, and Loyola in 7.
And this is like we talked about, one of those things. Hinsdale cannot afford to not win this event.
Absolutely.
Lake Forest is just coming on way too strong. Lake Forest will not move down to that 4-3 relay.
No.
And if Daniel Smith keeps it moving like they have in their individuals, it'll be tough for him to move down. If anything, for what they're fighting for, he may move up a spot or 2.
Sandberg, we said he got called for a disqualification there, that last heat. That's going to result in Sandberg scoring no points at this state meet here after getting a tie for 4th, their best finish in school history. So now we're getting ready to go here. Should see a very quick start in lane 7 from Andrew Jovanovic, leading off that Loyola Rambler relay.
Once again, he's going to have to get him off to a stellar lead if they want to move up here. That 20.5 from yesterday isn't going to cut it. He's going to be more like 20.1 or 2 if he wants to make any move to give them a lot of open water.
Jovanovic predictably out to the lead. 5 across otherwise. Connor Schroyer really gave Central a boost yesterday after going 21-5 open, 21-3 leading off the relay.
And he looks pretty good right now.
Absolutely.
He looks like he might be touching 2nd place after Jovanovic.
21-3-2, right where he was yesterday.
Into Brian Powell. Powell's going to have to make a move.
To the lead is Hinsdale.
Fending off Schriesheim over in New Trier, but Schriesheim is making a big move.
Absolutely. Portland in the water first, 2082 for Hinsdale Central sophomore Brian Powell. Portland opening up a lead.
And he's going to have to pull away because you got Reed Malone at the end of that relay.
Yes, sir.
And no matter who you are, that is a scary guy to swim against.
25-8 for Portland. Leach out in front. Here comes Malone. Here comes Justin White.
Malone definitely making a move here. Justin White right at the hip, but it is going to be Leach first at the wall. Second place is Fenwick. The 20.29 out of Justin White.
We're assuming that's correct. You showed 19 yesterday, but looking at the splits, Mike Hill only 22-1. That's not real after going 21-7 in the open 50 yesterday.
Yeah, we think that was about a second off. He may have been 20.5 yesterday, so that 20.29 is actually a phenomenal split for him.
Absolutely.
Third place, New Trier, 124.43. Fourth place, U-High, 124.80. Fifth place, Loyola, 125.42, and Marmion, 126.04 as sixth.
So Hinsdale Central holds serve, which means projected points. Lake Forest still -1 for the day. And Hinsdale Central -3 for the day. And so we're still looking at a 98-96 final between those two, barring what happens with Daniel Smith's back, Maple's breast, and then the 400 relay. And a side note, sort of a fun story. This marks the first time that Hinsdale Central head coach, our father, Corey King, ever won a 200 free relay. He'd won each of the other ones before, the 400 back at Peoria Richwoods, the medley in that unbelievable 04 state meet where they won just about every swim on Saturday with Dave Cormish off as a senior and beat Wabanzi by a point. Still waiting to get our first consolation finalist lined up here, St. Charles East.
Your 11th place finishers after the disqualification of Sandberg.
127.98. They definitely left it all on the pool yesterday. Niles North, led by Carl Malinarski, Javed Avdik. Two big seniors that they're definitely going to miss next year.
Glenbrook South, another team that keeps reloading this relay year in and year out.
Well, it's nice to have John Salomon around to reload around.
Taking that 9th place finish, 125.81 was Glenbrook South. 8th place, Barrington, 125.69.
Jay and Strauss, both seniors, their last swim for Barrington. They'll certainly be missed next year for the Broncos.
And Wabanzi with a very fast consolation win, 124.58.
And likewise, we mentioned with Strauss and Ujay, Stacklin and McWhorter definitely going to be missed next year for Wabanzi. After the awards here, we'll have our final break of the meet, and we'll then come back with the back, breast, and butterfly.
Quite a run for Wabansie. Their meet is done now, but looking at 59.5 points should definitely be good enough for top 10, sitting 9th right now.
A very nice year, second year coach Nick Ahrens
Absolutely.
had.
Here's your top 6 finishers. Marmion, 26:04. They're definitely going to be heard from in that 400 relay.
Loyola taking the 5th place finish, led by obviously very strong senior swimmer Andrew Jovanovic.
They picked up a nice freshman, and Chris Kearney was on that relay, but Jovanovic, Content, and Morgan all moving on to college. U-High, despite the sickness of Jake Miller, continues to plug on here, maintains 4th place in what is really shaping up like a 4th place finish for U-High. And we were talking about it last night. They'd be right in that mix for that 2nd place trophy with Hinsdale and Lake Forest if Miller was 100% with the extra points he'd score. And obviously, they'd be in the top 6 of that 400 relay. New Trier, 3 relay wins a year ago. Might have to settle for 2 this year if they can hold off Lake Forest. Tau, Schriesheim, Foch, and Malone. Tau, Schriesheim, and Malone all moving on to college. Foch, a junior, is going to have to be one of those contributors with Murphy McKay, Jay Park going forward. Fenwick Friars, 124-16. In those familiar robes, led by Justin White and Zach Tiki. A couple very nice sprinters. Sounds like it's Tommy McGuire's birthday as he's getting serenaded with the happy birthday song by the Fenwick fans. Quite a nice birthday present, a 2nd place medal in the 200 free relay, and he's still got the breaststroke to come.
Swimming for his father.
Absolutely.
Over at Fenwick. And your state champions, Hinsdale Central. Time of 1:23:43.
123.0 yesterday, and they're bringing back a pair of 20 points off that relay. The middle guys, Powell and Portland. So there's your updated standings. Your top 10, New Trier 115, running away with it as expected. Lake Forest 66, Hinsdale 62, Wabansie 61, U-High 58, Libertyville 51, St. Charles North 42, Fenwick 40, Oak Park 34, and Loyola 33.
I think this is the point where Nick Ahrens is saying, can we just end the meet now?
They'll take 4th place.
I'm pretty happy with my 4th place finish.
Absolutely.
I don't need to see the backstroke, breaststroke, or 400.
Well, unfortunately for Wabansie, I think they're going to insist on swimming those.
Well, that was a great way for that team to finish out this meet.
Get this warm-up going when we come back. Backstroke, breaststroke, and 400 relay as we wrap up, decide our last few state champions, and decide who we're going to hand these trophies out to. I am Skylar King alongside my brother Brandon, and you are watching IHSA.TV's live boys state swimming and diving coverage from the New Trier Natatorium.
Daniel Smith has definitely turned into one of the bigger names at Lake Forest this year, being on 2 of their big relays and helping out individually, which I don't think coming into this meet we thought was going to happen. He had an outside shot, but again, look at the field this year.
Absolutely.
He had a great swim with that 51-0. If he can carry that on, and again, Lake Forest has not really had a bad swim today. If he can keep that momentum going and roll that right into that 400 free relay, the second place trophy could be theirs.
And when you think about Daniel Smith wasn't even the #1 backstroker on this team last year. Brian Bunning was, and now as a sophomore, he's already faster than Brian Bunning was as a senior last year.
Yep, did a nice job leading off that 200 medley, 24-3 today, 24-0 yesterday. And again,
but good enough to move them up a spot to third place.
51-0 yesterday. He's got a couple 50 points in this heat. One of them have an off swim, and he has a great swim. He can knock a couple people off. And if he wins this heat, I think the race is over.
Absolutely.
The trophy is Lake Forest.
If you look at this heat, though, there's going to be some seniors with a lot of pride. 2 to 7, Alan Fang, sophomore from Stevenson, is in 2. Jack Tribble, one of those seniors, 50.8 in the preliminaries. He's in 3. John Thielen, 50-46, a senior from Marmion, is in 4. Sam Hiller, senior from Naperville North, is in 5. Then Smith in 6, and Anthony Blom, sophomore from Macomb Co-op, in 7.
Definitely the strongest consolation backstroke we've seen, maybe ever.
Probably the strongest depth-wise top 6 backstroke we've seen ever as well. And he had a state record holder, and then no one slower than 50.4. And that guy, the 50.4, was a 49 last year, so he still didn't seem to have a good 7 that 100 free, but Mangan's definitely somebody that is dangerous, making a run for probably second place in the backstroke. Backstroke preliminaries, consolation finals.
Daniel Smith looking very good in that first underwater. I think he is in first place. See if he can carry that on through the first wall here. And those underwaters, a staple in an event like the backstroke and fly.
Absolutely.
Can really change your game. It is Thieline. Looks like he is first at the wall, 24.75, but Fang actually first. Hiller needs to make a move here along with Jack Tribble.
Fang, and then the rest all flip. Pretty close to call here.
And a disappointing swim for Smith, taking 6, similar to Brian Portland earlier on in the meet.
Absolutely.
Thieline 51.03 for first in that heat. Tribble came back 51.22. Third place was Hiller, who really came back as well, 51.46.
Fang, Smith, and Blom, all sophomores, will be heard from next year, making a run at the top 6. That 6th place finish for Smith does make it back to a 4-point cushion. And so now all eyes are going to be on Eddie Maple in that breaststroke to see what he can do to maintain, or hopefully in Isdale's case, extend that cushion. Championship final, state title on the line. Kyle Patnode, senior from Oak Park in 2. Stephen Tan, junior from IMSA in 3. Andrew Jovanovic, the senior from Loyola, state record holder from Cleveland's in 4. Alex Starsky, junior from Libertyville in 5. Nick Haseman, senior from South Elgin in 6. And Jack Mangan, senior from New Trier in 7.
Lane 4 is going to be the one to watch in this heat right here.
Let's go, New Trier! Just talked about underwaters with Smith. Jovanovic's got some of the best.
Roderick may have the best underwaters we've seen in the state of Illinois, maybe ever.
It's pretty. Reed Malone's are pretty impressive when he gets to sprint. That butterfly in the medley last year, and the IM for that matter, was special. So Jovanovic out to a slight lead.
Tan looking good. Tan's another guy who has some ridiculous underwaters.
Absolutely.
And hangs right with Jovanovic.
Jovanovic starting to pull away a bit. The rest of the five all battling.
Tan looking like he might get second place in this event. Snarcy's got to make a little run on him on this last 25 like he did yesterday in the preliminaries.
Patnode making a run at Tan as well up at the very top.
Tan fading a little bit here.
Jovanovic,
He still might be the number 2 guy. Ooh, and Starsky sneaks in, 49.98. Tan at third, 50.01. Patnode, 50.31 fourth. Megan fifth, 50.48. And Haseman sixth, 50.61.
So Patnode helps Oaks Park's cause here in their battle for top 10. Fourth place finish. Picks up a point.
Tan's a guy with a little more training and able to finish off those events. He is going to be super dangerous because he is a phenomenal sprinter, has great underwaters. He tends to fade a little bit the last 15 yards of his races. If he can figure out how to fix that a little bit, that man is going to be dangerous in just about anything he swims next year.
Absolutely.
Obviously, it'll be a great battle in that backstroke again between him and Snarsky next year.
Absolutely.
Only a tenth separating them there.
Get ready here for the top 12 awards in the backstroke, and then we'll have the athlete's disability breaststroke. Daniel Smith, Lake Forest sophomore. Certainly big things yet to come from him in the next 2 years. Same with Anthony Blome, sophomore from Macomb. Quite a specimen Blome is as well. Alan Fang talked a little earlier about that strong sophomore class for Stevenson. Sam Hiller wrapping up a fine career. Big part of that second place trophy for Naperville North a year ago. Jack Tribble. A double scorer this year, Rockford Boylan Catholic senior.
And there's your champion of the consolations, Jonathan Thieline. A huge part of Marmion's free relays.
And their only individual scorer.
And a big reason why they're doing what they're doing at this meet this weekend.
Absolutely. And now your finalist. Sixth place, Nick Haseman, who probably not quite at his best this weekend. We talked yesterday about it. He was 50.0 in club. Thought maybe we might see a 49 out of him this weekend, but again, a nice way to cap a career for the South Elgin senior.
And once again, when you're training with club all year, it's one of those things where is this his main focus? His junior national is going to be his main focus in a month from now down in Orlando. You just never know. And when you train more with the club program, again, we talked about the team atmosphere here. He's going to have much more of a team atmosphere in a club meet. You know, guys that are getting him going, he can get them going, and again, sharing the success of your teammates, something that he really didn't get a whole lot to do this weekend.
Then you have Mangan and Patnode there, a couple seniors, big part of
top 10 teams this year. New Trier, obviously, when you had another state championship, and Mangan, over these last 2 years especially, has really been a key component. Third in the 100 free last year, second in the backstroke.
And Tan in third place, 50.01. Snarski second, 49.98. Again, only a couple hundred separate those two, both coming back next year. Should be a fun race to watch between those two.
And then Andrew Jovanovic, state record time yesterday, and a kid who we saw win 2 state titles as a sophomore, the fly last year and now the backstroke this year. Tons of versatility. Wouldn't have been surprised if we saw him swim the IM coming into this meet. And, he's going to swim at Northwestern next year. He's got the 400 relay still to go, but quite a career for Jovanovic.
And there's a kid who's just a nice guy.
Absolutely.
I haven't heard one bad thing about him. I've actually read articles about, the reason why he knows everyone is because he just wants to talk to people. He loves talking to people. And you know what? He's just very easy to talk to. Always in a good mood, always got a smile on.
Absolutely. Jovanovic couldn't be a nicer kid.
And, definitely a kid that everyone should root for the future.
No doubt. Staying in the Chicagoland area. Not that many people are able to stay home, especially boys, to swim in Illinois. U of I doesn't even have a program. Not a lot of options.
ISU.
Absolutely.
Now we have our athletes with disability. 100-yard breaststroke. See the 3 that we've seen today.
Centauri, Genskow, and Suero.
Lanes 3, 4, and 5.
And here we go. The 4th and final athletes with disability event, the breaststroke. And the breaststroke, as opposed to freestyle, certainly not nearly as easy to swim legally for some of these kids. And, and we even saw it at the girls' state meet. And it's just something I think that obviously they decided to officiate differently, even though some claimed that they wouldn't. But it's obviously hard. If you're going to let them swim it, it's hard to expect them to do it the same way as the able-bodied kids.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously kids out there with a lack of movement in their arms or legs. There are definitely different standards and different procedures on what is a disqualifying for, whether it's a illegal leg movement, a legal turn. And obviously there are different standards in the Paralympic events.
Sure.
When they judge those events.
Well, I guess that's what I'd be interested in. In terms of like the big meets, like we heard in the fall that Alyssa Gialamas from Avanza Valley goes to. How strictly are those officiated? And are these officiated under the same type of rules?
And again, I think just like, we have our National Federation rule book, which will basically lay out all the rules and standards for whether it's underwater kick, underwater pull and kick and breaststroke, how far you can go out underwater. I think there's a completely different rule book. Obviously, I do not know it. But I believe there are totally different rules for these events and for the meets for the Paralympians.
Right. I think that's just one of those things that people at home, if they're watching, I know I'd be wondering if I was sitting at home watching if there's any sort of rules, any sort of restrictions when these kids are swimming in non-freestyle events. That's why I brought that up. Genskow is going to collect his 4th gold medal, as is Centauri. Solero is going to go home with 3 silvers. And once they able to get out here, we will have your consolation final of the 100-yard breaststroke. So we've seen a lot of these guys swim already today. Keller in 1, McGuire in 2, Jake Knowles in 3, Jordan O'Brien in, 2, 3, and 4, Jordan O'Brien in 5, John Salomon in 6, and the Casements in 7. Based on what you've seen so far today, is there someone that's become the favorite based on good swims early?
I think Salomon's definitely going to be a threat here. You know, he's been having a great meet, and at 150 point I think anytime you have a good swim, your second one's usually pretty good too. This is a very strong kid.
Dropped 2 seconds from prelims to finals.
And like we've said, obviously a very strong freestyler as well. Leading off 20 point on their 200 free relay, making them a threat.
O'Brien might be slightly ahead of the field. He went out in 26.6 yesterday. But pretty even with him is Jake Knowles, McGuire, Salomon, and even Casements turned together.
O'Brien out fast, 26.92. A little bit slower than yesterday, but he is the fast man at the wall. See if he can pull it together, have maybe a better second 50 than yesterday.
Looks like he and Knowles are going to turn first.
Knoll looks like he had the good turn there, and he will be coming up first after his underwater.
Absolutely.
Knoll looks like he should take this.
Really nice pull out there out of Knowles.
Knoll looking good, coming into the wall here, and Knoll 57.6 is our first place. Second, Casements 58.00. Salomon third, 58.09.
Casement's a kid that's going to have to carry that Mundelein banner next year when Connor Black moves on.
Casement's very excited, obviously going off what his teammate has done, moving up big time in that event.
In the championship final in lane 1, Keanu Inaroni, Sterling Sr. In 3, Eddie Maple, Senior from Hinsdale Central. In 4, their top qualifier, Matt Salerno, sophomore from Mattia Valley. In 5, Jay Park, junior from New Trier. In 6, Nick Zito, senior from Madison Trail Co-op. And in 7, Kyle Ayrn. Park, the IM winner earlier, and Salerno's the top qualifier. Maple, though, with the most to swim for the team competition. You think any of those motivations play bigger than the other?
I mean, I think Maple's definitely got the most to lose here, but also the most to gain. You know, with only a few tenths separating first through third, and even really first through fourth, he needs to make a move here. He cannot move down, and if he gets the championship here, again, I think Hinsdale Central takes away the second place.
So, based on Salerno and Park's IM, is Park the favorite?
Right now, I think Park is the heavy favorite, dropping over a second in his IM. If he can carry that over into a phenomenal 100 breaststroke swim, he'll be tough to beat.
Pretty even at the 25. Park surging ahead here.
And Park's a guy you don't want to let go, because he is going to
looking
finish.
good up top too. Him and Maple right in this.
26.33 Maple. Inaroni 26.31. Park was first, 26.29.
Maple and Park, and maybe even Ayer look to be slightly ahead of this field. Park in the lead. Here comes Ayer on the outside.
Inaroni making a little move on Maple possibly. Maple holds at third, 56.42. Park, what a phenomenal swim.
Park, 55.86.
And that guy just came off a great swim of that IM and had an even better swim right here in that breaststroke.
Absolutely. Quite a bounce back for Kyle Ayrton as well to come in second place.
And there's a whole heat under 57. Like we said, we thought we might see even in preliminaries, but we saw it in the finals.
Quite impressive.
One
when
under
57
56.
won state last year.
57-4. Max Byers won it last year. This year, that wouldn't even get top 6. That shows you exactly how much one event can progress in 1 year with 3 people at least graduating from the top 6 last year.
So here's your situation for your third place trophy right now. If their seats hold, which is Lake Forest second and Hinsdale Central third, Hinsdale Central is going to win the second place trophy by 4 points over Lake Forest. So what does that mean? Lake Forest needs to hold at second. Now, if they win the 400 relay, they're going to get the second place trophy. And so that's that. Assuming they do not, the way it has to play out is they need to beat Hinsdale by 2 spots to tie for second and 3 spots to win second outright. If Hinsdale's within 1 spot of Lake Forest, then they're going to be the second place trophy team.
It's definitely one of those things. Hinsdale has to stay motivated and has to really finish strong here if they want to hold off Lake Forest for second. And Lake Forest, the way they've been doing, they really need to start thinking about, is New Trier vulnerable?
Sure.
You know, New Trier did not really show a whole lot in that 200 free relay. Could they be vulnerable?
I mean, if I was Lake Forest, based on the way they've swum today, they look more vulnerable than yesterday. But, you know,
Grumhouse being that close in the 500, that makes Reed look a little more mortal.
the only thing that when the conversation ends, you have to say Mangan, Walsh, Malone, seniors, home pool, last high school meet at their home pool, and then
The way Park has been swimming today.
swimming just unbelievably. And Smith has to shake off that backstroke swim because he's really the key. He's their number 4 man, and he needs to try and be as competitive as possible with Walsh, New Trier's number 4 man. Because the way you sort of look at the matchups here, it's Rowe and Mangan. We know they were 4th and 5th in the 100 today, not much separating them. Malone and Grumhouse are matching up on the anchor. And then you have Balthanu and Park, which, the way Park's swimming, I think is a slight advantage to Park. And then Walsh and Smith. You know, we haven't seen Walsh swim since that medley.
And based off his 100 fly, he's not having the meet he would like. Where I would say Smith is maybe having a better meet than a lot of people would have expected. New Trier obviously very comfortable lead in first place.
Oh, yeah.
Lake Forest and Hinsdale are definitely sweating this last relay out and hoping for the best.
If New Trier wins this relay, they're going to finish with 174 points. With, you know, the only movement for them today, Mangan picked up one spot from 5th to 4th in the backstroke, from 6th to 5th in the backstroke, and then Park winning his 2 individuals, going from 2nd to 1st, picked up 6 points.
I think Park definitely removed any doubt that guy is a stud.
Absolutely. 2 certainly disappointing state meets for him, but this is obviously his coming out party, and everyone is going to have all eyes on him all next season. Knowles, the Lockport senior, your consolation winner. And so coming into this last relay, as Tommy McGuire goes from 9th to 11th. Right now, Fenwick is looking at a total of 51 points. Wabanzi, we know they are locked in at 61.
Oak Park is looking at 55 points. So what it comes down to for Fenwick is they need to beat Oak Park in the 400 relay to get 10th place in this meet.
We talked about it earlier in the meet. It's exactly what those teams probably want to see. It's going to make both those teams really fight for that top 10 finish. Obviously being big-time rivals, Oak Park and Fenwick.
And then really the other battle that we're looking at here is this big giant jumbled mess from really 5th through 8th. Loyola picked up 2 points in the 200 free relay. Jovanovic held. So if everything stays the same, it's going to be New Trier, Hinsdale, Lake Forest, and then U-High. And then from Libertyville at 70 points to St. Charles North at 62 points. Anything can really happen going into this last relay. Libertyville is going to be in this consolation final. They're right now in a tie. And here's your state champion, Jay Park.
The heck of a time, 55-86.
Absolutely.
I don't know for sure, but that might be a varsity record for New Trier.
Yes, Conrad von Moltke, 57 from 2010. That smashed their varsity record.
So he actually got it yesterday, but he really set it today.
There's your
Great
current
time.
standings there. New Trier blowing this field out. Hinsdale and Lake Forest set to do battle here for the second place trophy.
This should be a very exciting consolation
I'm sorry.
battle right here.
My math was bad. Hinsdale actually has a 5-point cushion. I misadded Lake Forest points. Lake Forest is to beat Hinsdale by 3 spots. Or win the 400 relay against New Trier. In this consolation final, in 2 is Warren. That is Matt Conway leading it off.
He should be pretty close to the fast guy, but Matt Harrington right next to him.
Absolutely.
Obviously going to compete.
A little North.
At least to the 50. We'll see if Harrington can hold him off at the 100 as well.
Harrington actually pulls out of that underwater. A little North Suburban Conference battle. You also have U-High in 4, Oak Park in 5, Fenwick in 6, and Barrington in 7.
And with Oak Park and Fenwick right next to each other, it's going to be a fun battle that whole time.
White and Padnote, excuse me. No, it is Bondarenko. White and Bondarenko leading off for Oak Park. Bondarenko's going to touch just ahead of him. And it looks like Hallman is going to be the anchor man for Oak Park again. Padnote is set to go 3rd. That means Pimentel's in the water. Warren with Ashwin Sansgary in the water, holding his slight lead over Libertyville and U-High. U-High, though, making a big move. That is Fishman.
Fishman having a very solid meet. His freestyles in these relays have been very nice as well.
That's been the most impressive. I don't think of him as being a sprinter. 400 IMer, 500 guy. Really, really good stuff out of Fishman in the sprints this meet. 46.8 there for him. So Warren starting to fall back. Libertyville pressing U-High for the lead, and Patnode is making a serious push for Oak Park.
And he's going to need maybe a little bit of a lead, but Hallman and Tiki anchoring should be pretty equal.
Absolutely. UI
Justin
continues
White
to
getting
lead.
in the face of Tiki, pumping them up, trying to make sure they beat their rivals.
I'll tell you right now, I think Snarsky might have a big enough lead to win this heat for Libertyville.
Libertyville definitely wants to make up from what they kind of lacked yesterday. And I don't think
There
anyone's
goes
going to beat them here.
Hallman, Tiki, Miller, and for Barrington, Strauss, all trying to run Snarsky down.
Snarsky looking strong. But Holman
Here comes
is
Hallman.
cruising.
He goes out
Coming in
21-7.
21-7.
Snarsky actually went out 21-9. 7/10 separate them. I don't know if Hallman's got enough pool left.
I think Libertyville is going to be the consolation champion.
Hallman
it looks like Hallman
he's fading.
will
Here
hold
comes
off.
Jake Miller.
They will definitely
And
hold off
Strauss.
Fenwick. As Fenwick is just trying to hold off Warren on the
Miller gets in
outside,
there.
which they do.
Barrington third. Bunch of good times, especially Barrington. 3:10-1 to 3:08-8.
And Libertyville, 3:07.87 would have been top. Would have made things a little more interesting for today.
So here we go. Hinsdale and Lake Forest. With that move by Libertyville, they actually passed U-High for 4th place. 77 points for Libertyville. Quite a season for these guys. Let's go, New Trier!
St. Charles
So,
North in
lead
lane
off men in
2.
the water.
Hinsdale in 3, New Trier in 4, Lake Forest in 5, Marmion in 6, and 7 is Loyola.
Rowe out to an early lead over Mangan.
And this is where Lake Forest is really going to want to put the pressure on New Trier. If they can win this, they can walk away outright 2nd place. Hinsdale's going to have to stick with it and hope that they don't get beat by anyone else, and hope that New Trier
Mangan
can beat
and
Lake
Rowe
Forest.
out in front. Marmion in 3rd. The last 3 relays pretty equal all the way across.
Marmion a very fast leadoff time, 46.88. New Trier 46.02. Lake Forest 45.78.
Kowalewski making a big move just like yesterday for St. Charles North.
Out 21.66.
Baltanu putting the screws to Walsh right now. Park and Smith.
And as we said, this is going to be a good one to watch between Lake Forest and New Trier.
There you go, Smith and Park. Park's been on fire today.
And Park looking very strong with that catch-up stroke, beginning to pass Smith.
Portland bringing Hinsdale back into this race as he's known to do. Out in 21-4 is Brian Portland.
And he needs to catch up. Marmion still looking good, and they do not have a weak link on that Marmion relay. Yesterday, they touched about the exact same time going into anchor legs. Right now, it looks like Marmion's going to have the slight lead.
Master Jovanovic.
Gannon out 21-2-6.
Will Leach just barely holding him off over there. Leach clinches the second place trophy for the Red Devils.
A 302.75.
Quite the swim.
I'd love to see the split from Reed Malone on that one.
Absolutely.
Lake Forest second, 304.01. Marmion 306.15.
Quite a swim for Marmion.
307.33. Or 307.33. Hinsdale Central fourth, barely holding off the 307.51. Surgeon Gannon
Absolutely.
with a phenomenal split out of him at that anchor. And in sixth place, 308.24 Loyola Academy.
Well, Coach Rooney acted like Gannon probably didn't have his good stuff in the relay yesterday.
I think he had it there.
Today, absolutely.
As close as Lake Forest made it there, Reed Malone was not going to lose an event today.
No, he certainly would not be denied. His only setback being that 200 free relay.
The 200 free relay was a little out of his hands, but there he had it right there. It was him to lose, really.
It absolutely was.
They dove in actually 100th away from each other, so it really was a 100 free race between Grumhouse and Reed Malone.
State championship number 23, a third in a row for the hometown Trevians. But to put it lightly, if they're going to get 4 in a row, they're going to have to retool. We await the awards here for our 400 free relay.
Your 12th place relay, 310.27 Warren. With their strong senior Matt Conway leading that
Absolutely.
one off. Had a great senior state meet.
No question.
Eleventh place Fenwick, 309.74.
We've talked about what a state meet they've had. Their relays, especially that 200 to second place finish, have looked really good throughout. And Tommy McGuire scored in that breaststroke. And their crosstown rivals, Oak Park.
308.87, 10th place finishers. Very strong showing from Bondarenko, Pat noted this meet in Holman. Great on that anchor leg here.
And Oak Park is going to be your 10th place finisher. My math's correct, by 3 points over Fenwick, 51 to 48. Barrington, the last swim for Uje and Strauss.
Strong 308.80 after a disappointing 310 yesterday. Came back
Absolutely.
for a nice finish of the meet. U-High had some issues in this meet. Obviously, we talked about a little bit about Jake Miller's sickness. But they really turned it around today and had a pretty good finals. The 3:08.70 for 8th place.
And for U-High, again, all back in the swimming portion. Brandis Hefner, their only state scoring graduated competitor. And Libertyville. Again.
Very nice showing in that finals after a very rough swim, I would say, at the end yesterday, putting them in the consolation, coming and showing that they really didn't deserve to be there by going that 3:07.87.
Again, a relay all back, just like their medley, same 4 guys. Libertyville definitely going to be right in the middle of the trophy discussion a year from now.
I think they'd be the heavy favorites. U-High, another team, very heavy favorite for a trophy. Probably the 2 strongest teams would be Libertyville and U-High for next year, with Hinsdale Central possibly in the mix somewhere.
And your top 6 finishers, the culmination of a great career for Andrew Jovanovic.
Obviously, New Trier, you never want to count them out when you're talking about trophies. Team can reload better than any other team in the state.
Absolutely. 4,000 kids start pulling them out of the gym classes. St. Charles North, a very nice finals. Central.
4th place and securing that 2nd place trophy.
Again, 3 school records in the relays. Actually rebroke the medley relay school record today. Both their free relays school records were set in the preliminaries yesterday. Lionheart and Portland will both be back on this relay. And I'm sure they might find room for Brian Powell's 20.7 in the 400 relay next year as well.
And here is a relay who didn't have a bad swim on it.
Absolutely.
With 4 guys that just came together and did something special. This was kind of the relay that we knew they were going to be good at all year long. They had to replace 1 guy from it, and Robert Ramoska was the guy they had to put on it, who was not on the team last year, to replace a senior graduating, and he did a heck of a job to come back and go 3:06.15 Marmion.
Yeah, and we saw it last year. They made the bottom 6 with a bunch of balance, and now they're a top 3 400 relay with a lot of good balance. Lake Forest, another very talented senior group, Rowe, Baltanu, and Smith.
Going from not even scoring too many points last year, Lake Forest, to a 3rd place trophy. Quite a turnaround that team has made in
First
1
trophy
year.
for Lake Forest since Matt Grievers and company won the national title 10 years ago. And 3:02.75. Mangan, Walsh, Park, and Malone. The state champs close out the meet with a state championship in the 400 relay. And as we talked, it'll be fun to go. Be fun to go check out what Reed Malone split at the end of that relay, because he knew it was do or die to go out a champion and able to hold off Drumhouse. Now we're clearing the lane lines as we're set to hand out the trophies, and New Trier is going to get to take their victory dip. We get ready for the trophy presentations here. Lake Forest is going to make their way down towards the starting end. Lake Forest all lined up in the corner there, waiting for the proper representatives to line up to hand out these medals and award them with the third place trophy. Announcing your top 10. There you have it up there. Oak Park, 51 points, 10th place. Wabanzi is 9th with 61. St. Charles North, 8th with 62. Quite a bounce back from being outside the top 10 and losing Chris Dieter for them. Marmion, 7th place, 63 with all that balance on those relays. Jovanovic able to lead Loyola to a 6th place finish. U-High, 5th with 68. Libertyville with 78 is 4th. Lake Forest is your third place trophy team with 93 points. If you think about a year ago, it only took 80 points to get third. Hinsdale Central, 96 is second. And New Trier, 173. Quite a weekend, and yet another state championship. Number 23 for the program, with now 6 more than any other. Do you want to do the trophy presentation? It's totally up to you. I mean, we're going to officially sign off here from your 2013 state championships. We'll let the PA announcer take you through the trophy presentations. Congratulations to all the teams. Along with my brother Brandon, I'm Skylar King. Special congratulations to Lake Forest, Hinsdale Central, and New Trier, your 2013 state champions. It's a three-peat for the hometown Trevians. We've enjoyed bringing it to you here from the New Trier Natatorium. Until next year, you're watching IHSA.TV's live streaming coverage of the Boys State Swim Meet.